the earth move under my feet. I feel the sky tumbling down as interleague play is back around on Fox Saturday Baseball.
Oh,
the times there are changes. Once again, the American and National Leagues become one. It's New York and Baltimore from the yard. Only this time, it's that other club from the apple. Valentine's got his amazings reaching for a wild card. But this is Baltimore, baby, home to baseball's best team. And these birds take flight for their series dream. Atlanta and Boston battle in Beantown. These boys got to be brave if they're going to survive baseball's biggest and baddest bats. But Nomar and Mo say, oh, no. It's the Cubs and the Tribe from Cleveland, where Sammy looks to shake up the Jake. The Indians must believe in justice for all if they're going to play this fall. This weekend is the end of the Summer of Love. Oh, bummer, man. But now, baseball's real season is only beginning on the one and only Fox Saturday Baseball.
They'll go over the 3 million in attendance today at beautiful Camden Yards in Baltimore. Today, the Orioles host New York, only this time, friends, it's not the Bombers. It's their crosstown rivals, the Kings of Queens, the Mets, who could help the Yankees with a win today. Baltimore's Camden Yards will watch Rafael Palmeiro, first Oriole with 3 straight 30-homer seasons, and Ray Ordonez, the leathered larcenist at shortstop for the New York Mets. Until 1953, the home of the Braves was Boston. Today, they return to their former home, led by outstanding young stars like third baseman Chipper Jones. But the Red Sox have found their own fountain of youth with rookie sensation shortstop Nomar Garciaparra, who has a 30-game hit streak on the line today. The Cubbies, of course, play in the wonderful world of Wrigley Field, but today they move to a modern classic, Cleveland's Jacobs Field, and Sammy Sosa's been on a roll. He's got 30 homers on the year, and David Justice loves that AL pitching. David's cracked 29 for the Tribe on the season. Welcome back to the Fox Television Center in Hollywood on this holiday weekend. We're ready to get back to work on our labor of love. More Fox Saturday baseball action coming your way. Hi again, everybody. I'm Chip Carey, joined by an angry young man known as Psycho, Steve Psycho Lyons. How about the interleague play? It's back again. The National League has dominated so far.
Oh, yeah, they're 2 games over 500 against the American League. With a record like that, maybe you could win the National League Central.
Ouch, ouch. Early start for Psycho. The AL pitchers, by the way, hitting a whopping 117, just like your career totals. Let's get you caught up on last night's late interleague action, friends. Let's start in San Francisco. The Rangers and the Giants hooking up. Another wild ball game at 3Com Park in the 12th inning. Jeff Kent singles home off Eric Moody. Bill Miller scores. Giants win it 5-4-12. Big win for San Francisco. Why? Because the Dodgers do it again, and their new acquisition, Otis Nixon.
Otis Nixon had 5 hits the other night. He's starting to figure it out over here, and that great team speed at the top of the lineup is really going to help this club.
5-4. LA wins it in 10. They lead the Giants by 2.5 out west. And guess what, Steve? The Mariners bullpen does it again.
Oh, my goodness. American League, National League, Interleague, Little League. These guys couldn't save a game against the Mission Viejo All-Stars.
Ouch. Rockies beat them 6-5 in the bottom of the ninth. The Mariners have blown 21 saves on the year. Ouch. All right, friends, today interleague play returns on Fox, and we have a full slate of great interleague matchups for you. Let's head out to the ballparks for the latest news. We'll get you started in Baltimore, where Joe Buck and Tim McCarver have all the news. Gentlemen.
All right, Chip, what a gorgeous day it is here in Baltimore, Maryland. Interleague play, it's back, and it's on Fox. The Mets and Orioles. Joe Buck and Tim McCarver with you, and while the Orioles have the game's best record and are led by very good pitching and defense, how about that guy in the middle of the lineup, Rafael Palmeiro?
Well, Palmeiro, I think when he signed with the Baltimore Orioles 4 years ago, the Orioles did not realize they were getting this much power. He's the only Oriole to have 30 or more home runs 3 years in a row, and one of the great run producers in the game of baseball.
You know, with Alomar injured most of the season, Brady Anderson's home runs way down. Where would the Orioles be without Rafael Palmeiro? Well, with him, they've got the game's best record, so we know the answer to that. Let's go up to Boston. Here's John Rooney and Jeff Torborg. Guys.
All right, thank you very much, Joe. It's a beautiful day here at Fenway Park, and the Braves are playing regular season baseball for the first time since 1952. But Jeff Torborg, the real story is the 30-game hitting streak by Nomar Garciaparra.
Oh, man, a 24-year-old, first full season in the major leagues. Here's a guy I thought last year was the year of the shortstop. With Alex Rodriguez, Derek Jeter, Ray Ordonez, this kid has done it all. He leads the American League in runs, in hits, in triples, and multi-hit games. He can do it all.
He's just 4 behind Dom DiMaggio for the club record hitting streak and 4 behind Benito Santiago for the Major League Baseball hitting streak. Now let's go to Josh Lewin and Ken Singleton in Cleveland.
All right, guys, thanks. It's kind of bizarre, but all of Chicago is united. Even the White Sox fans are rooting for a Cubs victory today. The White Sox hanging right in there. The Milwaukee Brewers are hanging in. Cleveland is in first place, but they just can't pull away.
Yeah, they got some help last night from the Chicago Cubs of all people. Chicago's been struggling all season long. Cubs actually rallied to tie this game, but in the bottom of the 8th inning, Kevin Orizzera set up the winning hit by Dave Justice as the Indians went on to win the game 7-6.
Well, this is the first series that the Cubs have played against a team from Cleveland since 1899. And take heart, Cubs fans, because in 1899, that Cleveland ball club went 20-134. So it could always be worse, or so we're told. Anyway, let's send it back to Hollywood now. Here's Chip and Steve.
All right, Josh, thanks a lot. Yeah, those Cleveland Spider ball clubs weren't too good. Funny situation, too. The Sox fans having to pull for the Cubs today. But, wow, what a season for Nomar Garciaparra. Only you made a bigger splash as a rookie in Beantown.
Yeah, big splash. I mean, this guy is doing it all, just like Jeff Torborg said. They expected the great defense out of him, and they're getting that. They did not expect this kind of offense. 25 home runs, 81 RBIs. The record is 86 RBIs for a leadoff hitter in a season. He's going to crush that.
That, of course, by Harvey Keene, the Milwaukee Braves in 1956. What about Jose Cruz? The Seattle Mariners really haven't had a rookie either since Alvin Davis.
Yeah, well, they have a chance. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, that's right.
He's playing
I forgot.
in Toronto
My
this year
bad,
now.
my bad. My
20
mistake.
home runs in just 7 games. If he had a chance to play the entire season, he'd be giving Garciaparra a run for his money.
And don't forget Jason Dixon of Anaheim. He's got 13 wins for the Halos. They're a game behind Seattle out west. All right, friends, one player who thought he was going to a new team for a fresh start found out that without a doubt, there's more to life than the game of baseball. But Eric Davis's battle with cancer has proved to be a huge inspiration, not only to his Oriole teammates, but all major leaguers everywhere.
My main concern was, why did it come? Where did it come from? And they couldn't tell me that. He told me that it was a tumor. There was a possibility that it could be cancer.
I do want to play baseball again in 1997.
You got off to a great start this year. You have said maybe the best start of your career, or at least certainly one of them. Did you ever look in the mirror and say, why me? Why now? Why this next huge obstacle I have to overcome now?
Well, no, and why I didn't is because if you look in that same mirror, you can ask yourself, why not you? You know, why does it have to be someone else? I was more concerned with my life, my wife, my kids, you know, being here for them to grow up. So I didn't really have time. I had to be strong for them. So I didn't have time to sulk and get mad or anything of that nature.
Everybody says we're all put on earth for a purpose. Was this perhaps one of the purposes Eric Davis was put on earth to deal with the issue of cancer and maybe educating people to take care of themselves?
If it is, I've been having a lot of purposes, so a lot of purposes. But no, I look at it as a positive. I mean, if someone of my status can come down with this and beat it, just like Mario Lemieux and Brett Butler, Scott Radinsky, I think we have an obligation, you know, to move forward with it, to do benefits for research, to try to raise money so we can hopefully find a cure for it.
None of us wanted him to come back if it was going to be anything detrimental to his health, and we still feel that way. There's no rush on him coming back.
When I stepped into the cage, it's like I hadn't missed a beat. I just swung and the ball started jumping and flying.
What about the reception with your teammates here? What does that mean?
Oh, I mean, they've been unbelievable. I mean, I can't really describe what that feeling is and how much that meant to me. If I had to go through what I went through, I'm glad I went through it here, because this is an organization that really care about the players, and it's not baseball first all the time.
He thinks he can come back this year and play. Do you?
I think he can. Whatever he thinks he can do, I'm going to let him try anyway. When he's ready, I'll believe him, and I'll stick him in there.
What are you thinking in your mind you'll be able to do?
Go 4 for 4. You know, that's just that competitive drive. But when I do step up to the plate, I've won. You know, I feel like I've won already. To be able to come back and have an opportunity to play again.
He has done more for this team just being here, working out, cheering us on. If he never plays a game the rest of the year, he's done enough to get most valuable player on this club.
Well, whether I come back or not, you know, I still feel like I've won, and I'll sit in the dugout and cheer if I'm not able to come back.
Amazing statement by Davy Johnson. He'd be the MVP of the team this year, not a Cal Ripken or some of the others on that Oriole ball club. But Steve, I was amazed how calm Eric Davis has been throughout this entire ordeal.
Well, the last thing that the other American League teams need is the emotional lift that Eric Davis is going to bring to already the best team out there, especially during the dog days of August and September now.
And yes, to paraphrase Lou Gehrig, some say he's been given a bad break, but Eric Davis indeed has an awful lot to live for. All right, friends, tomorrow the NFL returns on Fox, and it all starts at 12 noon Eastern. All right, that wraps it up for us from Hollywood for now. We'll be here with updates all afternoon long, but now it's time to toss it out to Baltimore, where Joe Buck and Tim McCarver are set to call today's interleague action.
Oh, what a day it is in Baltimore, Maryland, as interleague play returns to Fox. The New York Mets taking on the Baltimore Orioles. It is an absolutely gorgeous day for the Fox Saturday Baseball Game of the Week. I'm Joe Buck, and welcome. Last night, the Baltimore Orioles broke a 4-game losing streak to the New York Mets, a 4-game losing streak that dates back 28 years to the 1969 World Series. Who did it? The 12th inning base hit by Cal Ripken Jr. and a 4-3 win for the Orioles. I welcome in my partner, Tim McCarver. And, Tim, not only did Ripken win it in the 12th inning, but his home run in the 8th inning was the reason why there were extra innings. Take us through that home run swing.
Well, there were two things about that home run swing. I think, first of all, it gives you an idea that a pitcher does not always hit the spot. Todd Hundley, the catcher, sitting outside, the ball tailing back over the inside part of the plate and down, and that is Cal Ripken's hot zone. And appropriately, Ripken does it again in his 2,447th consecutive game. And I guess it's appropriate because Cal Ripken has been a hot hitter in August.
Hot. I guess that's our phrase for the day. And hot is the way to describe this Baltimore bullpen. You look at the bullets for Davy Johnson and what he can do in the late innings. It really has to put a smile on Orioles fans' faces as they head toward postseason. In the American League, first in ERA, saves, fewest blown saves, strikeouts per 9 innings. The bullpen terrific for the Orioles, a big part of their success. Now for the Mets, it's really been a tale of 2 seasons for the New York Mets pitching staff, and lately they have not been getting it done.
Well, speaking of hot, that's what the Mets pitching staff was in the first half of the season. On June the 20th, for the first 3.5 months, the starters for the Mets were first in the National League. Look at that collective earned run average. Since that time, they have been 13th. The opponent's batting average way up, the winning percentage way down.
Only one question for you as we get ready for the Mets and the Orioles. You think Ripken will play today?
Got a shot at it.
He's got a shot. He's in the lineup today along with red hot Rafael Palmeiro. Gosh, I'm sick of saying that. It's the Orioles and Mets coming up after this word from your local Fox station. The Inner Harbor on a beautiful day here in Baltimore, Maryland. I mean, it couldn't be any better. And while they're building a new football stadium down the street, the Ravens are ready to open up the NFL season tomorrow. Right now, all thoughts are on the American League East and baseball's best team, record-wise and, heck, maybe talent-wise, the Baltimore Orioles. A look at the Miller Lite starting lineup for the New York Mets. They'll lead it off with Carl Everett, then Edgardo Alfonso. What a season he is putting together for Bobby Valentine. Bernard Gilkey is the DH today, with Butch Husky at first base in place of Olrud against the left-hander. Then Todd Pratt catching. Alex Ochoa, former Baltimore farmhand, is in right. Brian McRae in center. Louis Lopez at second base, and Ray Ordonez at short. He's batting ninth. And a look at the left-hander, Rick Krivda, who so far this season with the Orioles since his call-up is 2-0.
And Joey was 14-2 for Rochester, the AAA affiliate of the Orioles. 66-30 for his minor league career, and the Orioles hoping that Rick can do at the big league level what he's done at the minor league level. He is not a hard thrower. He's a finesse guy with a big slow curveball, an excellent changeup. As a matter of fact, both pitchers today, you can look for a lot of breaking balls behind in the count. A lot of pitching coaches say that's working backwards, but so many pitchers are doing it, it's almost working forwards now, not backwards.
Take a look at the defense behind Krivda for the Orioles. Very good defensive club. In fact, only 79 errors this season. Surhoff, Anderson, and Hammonds in the outfield. Mike Bordick, 2 errors in his last 59 games and 11 on the year. Joined by Ripken over on that left side. Hoyles is behind the plate today, catching the left-hander Krivda. And Krivda's a guy that last year won a big game for the Orioles down the stretch. September 25th at Fenway Park, a pressure win, and it kept the Orioles a game and a half up in the wild card race. They're not even thinking about the wild card in 1997. 2-1 down the stretch for the Orioles, so he's pitched well in pressure situations the few times he's had a chance in the big leagues.
Yeah, the Orioles certainly not thinking about the wild card. They're thinking about the New York Yankees next weekend for 4 games in New York, and the following weekend 4 games here at Camden Yards.
This broadcast also available in Spanish by utilizing the SAP button on your television. Baltimore last year 3-10 against the Yankees, 4-0 this season against New York. This Mets club not very good in interleague play. A record of 2-8, while the Orioles 8-2 against the NL East. Are you tired of numbers yet? Me too. Let's play baseball. First pitch to Carl Everett, who's in that leadoff spot from Krivda, the left-hander. Little broken bat squirter to first. Easy play. 1 pitch, 1 out. Palmeiro unassisted. Take a look at the interleague standings and the interleague numbers. National League leading interleague play now, 75 and 73. The Orioles 8-2 against that NL East, while the Mets have struggled against the AL East. You're talking about baseball's premier 2 divisions. The East in both the AL and the NL. Here's Edgardo Alfonzo, and he takes a ball. What more do you want out of Eddie Alfonzo, hitting .330?
6th in the league, a Gold Glove at third base. Just having a remarkable year.
Takes a strike from Krivda. 1 ball, 1 strike. Who just said, "Bah!" Larry Barnett with Ray DeMuro at first base, Ted Hendry at second, and Dan with a D, Morrison at third. Strike 2. Edgardo Alfonzo with those numbers, with the RBIs. The 64 don't thrill you, but a guy who's sitting over 440 with runners in scoring position. The month of August has been very strong for Alfonzo, who's a bit tested playing in as many games as he has this season, and they're wondering just how active he will be during winter ball after the 1997 season is complete. Ripken to his left, 2 up, 2 down here in the first inning.
Rick Krivda has recorded 2 outs and 2 jam shots, one by Everett, one by Alfonzo. Cal Ripken, of course, making the move from shortstop to third base this year, and the addition of Mike Bordick has really shored up the left side of the Baltimore infield.
Really have 2 teams on display here this afternoon that on the left side of the infield is as good as you want to get in both leagues, and the Mets might have the best combination going that we will see here today, with Alfonzo at third and Ordonez at short. Here's Gilkey. What a fall off from a year ago for Bernard Gilkey. Frustrated player who hit 30 home runs last year and has just 12 in 1997. Average in the 220s. Only 6 stolen bases. 3 ground balls here in the first inning. Bordick, the quick hands, and a 1-2-3 first inning for Rick Krivda. Good start for the left-hander for the Orioles. Now Brian Bohannon to work in the bottom of the first. No score. A very strong start for Rick Krivda and the Orioles in the first inning. Mets went in order on 3 ground balls. How about the Miller Lite starting lineup for the Orioles? Brady Anderson will lead it off in center field with Jeffrey Hammonds in right. Geronimo Moreau is the DH with Palmeiro cleaning up in what a month he has had, and very strong since the All-Star break, with Ripken, Surhoff, Hoyles the catcher, Rebele at second in place of the injured Alomar, and Bordick batting ninth and playing short as he has most of the year. And here's big left-hander Brian Bohannon.
And we mentioned very similar to Rick Krivda. He was 9-3 for Norfolk, and between Brian Bohannon and Rick Reed, the right-hander of the Mets, they have 2 saviors as starting pitchers since their starters have done so poorly since June 24th. We talked about that in the opening.
And really guys that have filled in place of the injured 3 guys that they had so much hope for, as Brady Anderson breaks his bat. And a little pop-up to second, caught by Louis Lopez, the Mets second baseman. 1 pitch, 1 out. And we take a look at the scouting report on Bohannon. They have gotten a lot out of Brian Bohannon, much more than expected coming into this season.
He's lost 2 in a row, but he lost to the Dodgers 4-2, to the Padres 3-2. An above-average fastball, and it's made to look a lot faster because he throws so many breaking balls behind in the count.
Here's Jeffrey Hammond. He's had a very good season. The Orioles were trying to deal him all spring. And the numbers: 274 with 18 home runs, 45 driven in, bothered by a bad left heel. Had a cortisone shot in it the other day after banging into the wall to re-aggravate it. And he's up on the count, 2 balls, no strikes. Breaking ball behind in the count, 2-1. There's Eric Davis. You see his number 24, and being honored by his teammates with that number 24 on their batting helmets, and it's front and center with Hammond. 2-2 on a changeup. There's that number 24, and it is right there next to the Orioles. Would lead you to believe that Davis has been a big influence on Jeffrey Hammond. To the outside corner, Jeffrey didn't like the call, and a mild argument. The home plate umpire, Larry Barnett, 2 up, 2 down.
That's a typical sequence of Brian Bohannon. He falls behind 1-0 and 2-0 with the fastball, and then 3 straight breaking balls to Jeffrey Hammond. Here's the fastball that misses inside, another one that misses outside, curveball for a strike, changeup swing and a miss, curveball polishing him off.
And off the plate, off the bat of Baroa, tough play. Lopez, forget it, base hit. And the first of the afternoon, it belongs to Geronimo Baroa.
Unless Luis Lopez can come up with a barehanded play, he has no chance to get Baroa. Clearly a hit right here. That ball hitting right off the edge of the plate. That gave it the height that it needed. Baroa with an infield hit, the first base runner of the ball game.
Keeps the inning alive for Rafael Palmeiro. A look at Bobby Valentine. We'll talk about Valentine in this 1997 New York Mets club. Bobby just recently rewarded with a new 3-year contract as Palmeiro looks at a ball 0 away. When we went through the lineups, we told you about Palmeiro. 15 home runs since the All-Star break, tied for the Major League lead with Piazza and Vinny Castilla from the National League. Palmeiro shoots one to center. McCray drifting at the track to end the inning. Palmeiro gave it a ride and made a bid for home run number 32, but McCray in the ballpark hold it. And after 1 in Baltimore, no score. Chris Hoyles with that catcher cam on his mask. There's a look. Our camera people have been working with Chris over the past week and a half how to frame a pitch, and we'll see if he's been listening. We thank Chris for agreeing to wear the catcher cam, and here we go in the second inning with no score as Butch Husky leads it off. That looked like a breaking ball to me.
A lot of breaking balls from both pitchers, and for that reason, right-handed batters in particular, you'll find that a guy, even though neither throws hard, Crivden Bohannon will have a lot of pitches that they work inside and break bats. There have been 6 outs in this ball game and 3 broken bats so far.
And here Husky is backed up at 0-2. The last 10 days, Butch has been terrific, hitting .387. He has a career high in home runs for the year with 16.
What happens is that a lot of right-handers go up there, they think, I've got to wait, I've got to wait, I've got to wait, and then that 83-mile-an-hour fastball's right on top of them.
0-2. In the dirt, a ball and 2 strikes. Rick Krivda, as Tim mentioned, 14-2 at AAA Rochester and 66-30. 7 years in the minor leagues. That's good and bad. It's a good record, but it's bad when you're there that long to get those good numbers. Tough play for Ripken on an in-between hop, and he takes care of Husky. 4 up, 4 down for the Mets.
Notice how Ripken gathered that ball. Very soft hands, which is what you must have in fielding a ball like that. You almost caress it to the midsection, and the strong arm throws Husky out. Much different than a short hop, that in-between hop, the toughest hop for an infielder.
One down with the bases empty, and the hitter will be Todd Pratt with 2 Gold Gloves at shortstop. Now, his first full season at third. In fact, he's been at short only twice this season, and one of the times finishing up the game here last night. A 4-3 win for the Orioles in 12 innings. But Bordick has been the guy out there for 1997. Ball and a strike to Todd Pratt. He was hitting .388, 19 out of 49, and Krivda trying to get him for the 5th straight out to begin the afternoon. Well hit to left and a base hit. Todd Pratt, who sat out last year, is on with 1 out here in the 2nd inning as he adds to his .388 average. Rick Krivda's turned it around, or at least trying to. The Orioles as a staff have, and here are his thoughts on pitching coach Ray Miller.
Ray Miller, to me, has brought a comfort level that I haven't had since probably college level. And you know, he puts things in perspective, and he kind of is there for you, and in a couple ways for me is he just has been there on the field and sort of off the field, so it's a big plus.
Ray Miller used to be the pitching coach for the Orioles in the early 80s, and then he became the manager of the Minnesota Twins in 1986. Back to pitching coach for Jim Leland's Pittsburgh Pirates. He is one of the best in the business.
And a guy who is in his 2nd tour of duty with the Orioles, and I would say one of the elite pitching coaches in baseball. You think of Ray Miller, you think of Dave Duncan. A guy who doesn't get talked about a lot, the guy in Boston now, but he had been with Montreal, is Joe Kerrigan, who does such a fine job with a lot of young pitchers. Here's Ochoa, took a ball, now another 2-0. Alex Ochoa, a guy who came up through the Orioles organization, was expected to be a fixture in right field for years here. And then he was traded along with another outfielder, Damon Buford, for Bobby Bonilla. And Ochoa has really fizzled since then with the New York Mets, hitting only .217 as he stands in. A strike from Krivda. It's 2-1. This was the key part to that trade when the Mets gave up Bonilla. And Bobby Valentine and others in the Mets organization expected more from that July 28th trade back in 1995.
He really hasn't had an opportunity this year. I mean, it's been a numbers game for Ochoa. With Carl Everett's advance, Butch Husky, Ochoa is the odd man out. Well, the Mets have seen that move, I'll tell you that. Last night in the 9th inning with Brian McRae on at first base, Randy Myers the pitcher, Rafael Palmeiro took the position that he was going to charge home. He took 1 step forward and 2 steps back, and they picked off Brian McRae, a big play in that game.
It's a bad way to go through life. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. You never get there. 1 on, 1 out, and a strike to Ochoa, 2-2.
You get there if you're a first baseman in a bunting situation.
That might be the only exception. And there's the Orioles first baseman, Rafael Palmeiro, holding against Todd Pratt. It was 2-0, now 2-2 from Krivda. Ochoa just got a piece to stay alive. Still 2-2.
Where National League pitchers try to pitch Alex Ochoa, his natural stroke is the other way. You can't crowd him with off-speed stuff. As a matter of fact, the Oriole outfield straight away, even center fielder Brady Anderson a little toward left center. But Ochoa with that natural stroke to right field.
From catcher cam on 2-2. Big breaking ball, and Ochoa just got a piece. Getting seasick.
It's a good place for it, the Inner Harbor.
There you go. That's Hoyles going after that foul tip. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And there's McRae. Bryan will be next. He's hitting in the 7th spot here this afternoon. Pratt, a one-out base hit. And Ochoa just fighting him off to stay alive.
That's exactly what he's doing. The two curveballs inside. And then that fastball. Here's that fastball on the 2-2 count once again. That's that stroke that Ochoa has. He is really totally confused offensively right now. He's just not had enough and logged enough playing time to get that stroke down.
1 on, 1 out. Krivda looking for that second out, or even better, a double play ball. Runner goes, and Ochoa pops it up. Bordick out to get it. 2 out, and back to first is Pratt. So Ochoa is gone, and the hitter will be Brian McCray. This New York Mets club has not taken off the way the Mets had hoped it would, or even maintained the level of play since the trade that brought Brian McCray along with Mel Rojas and Turk Wendell from Chicago. In fact, this New York Mets team, as recently as July 28th, had a half-game lead over Florida in the NL wildcard race. Since then, 12-17, and right now 7 games behind Florida in that wildcard race. Falling out of it in a hurry. And since that August 8th trade, you look at the numbers, ERA a little worse. Complete games aren't there. A lot of this has to do with the starting pitching. Big part of that trade, though, is Mark Clark, as McCray flies 1-2 center for Brady Anderson. A 1-out hit by Pratt. Krivda gets around it. We are through an inning and a half here in Baltimore. We'll see Ripken in the bottom of the second. No score.
Fox Saturday Baseball Game of the Week, brought to you by Jimmy by GMC, putting you comfortably in command. By MasterCard, MasterCard, the future of money. By Sony PlayStation, a bit of advice for gamers everywhere. Never underestimate the power of a PlayStation. And by Tylenol, the pain reliever hospitals use most.
Beautiful afternoon in Baltimore as Brian Bohannon goes back to work in the bottom of the second inning with no score. It will be Ripken, Surhoff, and Hoyles, 5, 6, and 7 for the Orioles. Ripken hitting .294, but .398 in his last 25 games. He's had a wonderful month of August. Last night hit the game-tying home run in the 8th inning off Greg McMichael, which we have already dissected, and then the game-winning hit in the 12th inning. You look at the month of August for Ripken, hitting .380. 3 home runs, 15 driven in. The 5th highest batting average in the major leagues during this month as he takes a strike on a breaking ball from Bohannon. No score, bottom of the second, and Ripken is drilled on the front knee. And you know the crowd won't like that.
That was just a cut fastball or a slider that came inside on Ripken. It looked like it hit the back leg. No, front leg. About mid-thigh on the side of the left leg. So Ripken plunked, and that's about as close to heresy as there is in the city of Baltimore.
You don't do that.
You don't do that. You can't do that.
Do not hit Cal Ripken Jr.
That is desecrating an icon right there.
Last night, each side had a hit batsman. That one getting away from Bohannon and clipping Ripken. Any thoughts of any lingering effects from last night?
I don't think so. First in the 3rd inning, Lenny Webster was hit. You see how his hand came off the bat. And, of course, that was not as serious as Scott Kamenicki hitting Edgardo Alfonso 2 innings later. The difference was when Alfonso was hit, that left hand stayed on the bat. And that's always potentially much more serious than when the hand comes off, because you can kind of float with the pitch. I don't think so. No.
So Ripken is on, starting the inning, and B.J. Surhoff digs in. 0-1 the count as Bohannon hit the inside corner. Now Surhoff pops it up down the left field line. Everett over to get it. Will it stay in play? No. And that's strike 2. 5th time that Ripken has been hit by a pitch this season. And when it's happened here at home, the typical reaction of the crowd getting upset with whoever is on the mound for the opposition.
B.J. Surhoff and Cal Ripken with almost identical numbers. Ripken with 2 more RBIs, 1 more point in the batting average, the same number of home runs.
1 on, nobody out, and Surhoff stays alive. The count stays 0-2.
I think B.J. Surhoff is an example of what happens offensively when a catcher stops catching. His last full season as a catcher with the Milwaukee Brewers, 1992. And since that time, his numbers have been up dramatically.
Bohannon missing at a ball and 2 strikes now. Surhoff, guy who last night ended the game at third base, former catcher, playing left field, former collegiate shortstop. Ball and 2 strikes from Bohannon. Stays right there. You look at the numbers for B.J. Surhoff throughout his career, and from 1987 to 1994, the numbers not what they've been from 1995 until now.
And see, most of those numbers earlier in his career for those 7 years, that was when he was a catcher. You have to worry about the pitchers, the grueling part of the job of catching. Offense comes second, not anymore.
1-2 pitch, 2-2 from Bohannon. On deck is Hoyles, who's had a frustrating season with injury. No score here in the second inning. Ripken was hit by a pitch to lead off the inning, and now the 2-2 pitch after a long look in from Bohannon. Over the outside corner to strike him out looking. Second strikeout for the New York left-hander. Right now for a Miller Lite game break. Let's go back to Chip in Hollywood.
All right, Joe and Tim, thanks a lot. The Crime Dog's barking again. He's hit his second home run in as many days for Atlanta, wearing those 1912 Boston Brave uniforms. The Crime Dog, Fred McGriff, was in a 16-for-104 slump before he got to Boston. Atlanta's up by 3 over Jimmy Williams and the Red Sox. Back to you.
Kind of a no-lose situation for Boston. Boston's playing Boston. Throwback uniforms, and last night it was ugly. The Braves winning big 9-1 over the Red Sox behind John Smoltz. There's a strike over the outside corner to Hoyles. Look at the standings in the National League East. Mets playing here this afternoon, 11.5 games out, so the division title is unrealistic. 7 games behind the Marlins, who lead in the wild card race. Braves 83 wins, the Orioles 85. Through the right side, a base hit. Will Ripken take the turn and head to third? Not running well and not willing to test Ochoa. 2 on, 1 out here in the second.
The exception of Rafael Palmeiro, there have not been a lot of balls hit hard. This ball off the end of the bat. It almost stops before it gets to Ochoa. That's how softly it was hit. But with Ochoa's arm, no way Cal Ripken is going to try for third. You can see him limping on that sore left thigh. Cal not a fast runner, and Ochoa with one of the best arms in the game in right field.
Yeah, no doubt a weapon for the Mets out there as Rabelais walks in with 2 on, 1 out. Getting very good defensive work from Rabelais, not the numbers offensively you would see from Alomar. And as it has been a frustrating season for Hoyles with the injuries, it has been for Alomar, who's been bothered by the ankle early, then the groin, the left shoulder. Reinstated, played on Tuesday and re-aggravated that groin injury. Bruce Benedict forgot his glasses during batting practice. Just remembered where he put them. I know I had them, and then I walked back to the dugout and let's see, where could they be?
Probably with his car keys.
2 on, 1 out as Rabelais takes outside. 1-1. And as you look down the road for the Orioles, with regard to Alomar, a guy who, when healthy, if he ever indeed does get healthy enough to play consistently for Baltimore, will bat only left-handed.
Davey Johnson telling us yesterday that it'll probably be about a week. Could be 10 days. Probably about a week before Alomar comes back. There's Robbie.
Check swing and a foul tip for strike 2.
The one thing Robbie Alomar gives the Orioles that they don't have without him is speed. Of course, he's a marvelous second baseman with as much range as anybody I've seen out there. He is that, all of it. Of course, Eric Davis also in the speed category. Davey Johnson talking in our pregame show about the speed and the assets that both Alomar and Davis give the Orioles.
Breaking ball, base hit into left field. They will hold Ripken at third, and the bases are loaded here in the second inning for the Orioles. A hit batsman, back-to-back hits by Hoyles and Rebellet. And it's going to be up to Mike Bordick here in the second inning, trying to put the Orioles out in front.
I think Brian Bohannon and Todd Pratt have gone too much to the breaking ball. The best pitch, in my judgment, that Bohannon throws is a straight change. They've gotten away from that. The reason that the straight change, generally speaking, is a better pitch than the curveball is that hitters can adjust to the curveball, but the changeup seems to be on them too quickly. They can't adjust to that pitch like they can the breaking ball.
Here's Bordick in his first season in Baltimore. Guy who has not hit much at all. Only .216, bases loaded, 1 out, strike 1. And another breaking ball from Bohannon. 5 homers, 35 driven in, career with the bases loaded. He's hit 1 grand slam. But he's looking for anything to put the Orioles out in front. Ball and a strike. Got 2 shortstops on display here today. Very good defensively and really neither hitting. Ordonez for the Mets. Bordick for the Orioles. Bases loaded, 1 out. Rip down the left field line. That'll put the Orioles out in front. Ripken scores. Hoyles scores, and it's 2-0 Orioles in the second.
Bordick only 5 for his last 43 before this hit. Nice effort by Alfonso. Got to play a little higher, however, to catch a ball like that. Bring that invisible stool out there. RBIs number 36 and 7 for Bordick.
And a visit from Bob Apodaca, the pitching coach for Bobby Valentine, talking to Bohannon, who hit Ripken to start the inning, then struck out Surhoff. But 3 straight singles from the bottom of this lineup. And when they start getting on base, it's a scary proposition. Now you've got Anderson, Hammonds, Baroa, Palmeiro, the big thumpers coming up for the Orioles here in the second.
So I think the biggest difference between Baltimore this year and last year is that the whole roster is contributing this year. Last year, the 4 or 5 extra men the Orioles had little playing time. Not really an opportunity to get a lot of big hits. But in and throughout the lineup, Davey Johnson's Orioles much more team-oriented this year.
A look back at second where Rebellet had a big lead. I think it's fair and safe to say that the Orioles are a better team, not just record-wise, but a more dangerous team going into the playoffs in 1997 as compared to last year.
Better pitching and better balance offensively, even though the big guns are not having as good a year. Brady Anderson hit 50 home runs last year. He has 15 this year. Rafael Palmeiro hit 260 this year, even though his home runs and RBIs are up, but not like they were last year.
This team has hit 158 home runs this season, 257, a record for this Oriole club in '96. Through the right side. Here comes Rebellet. Will have a play at the plate. Ochoa has a gun. Safe. And it's 3-0. Second and third, only 1 out.
We talked about the gun that Ochoa has. However, he's got to correct the windage on this throw. Up the line toward third. Nice try by Pratt. Great slide by Rabelais. Ochoa is showing off the arm, but about 5 feet off the target.
Beautiful slide by Rabelais to get around the tag, get the hand on the plate. And with the throw, it's second and third, only one out as Hammonds comes up empty. A 3-run second inning for the Orioles. Trying to take the first 2 games of this weekend 3-game series. Breaking ball, grounded foul outside third, strike 2.
Once again, here's Jeff Rabelais with a great jump at second base. And watch this slide. Past Pratt, left hand on the plate. 3-0 Orioles.
A chance for more. The 0-2 pitch. Out of play. The New York Mets struggled very early this season. Then had a great month. They were the talk of baseball for a while and the talk of New York. Getting the back page, so to speak, with all the papers in New York. Second and third, the 0-2 pitch misses. Then the expectations started to grow, and in the month of August, 5 games under 500, and people saying, well, they're finally playing down to their level of talent. We knew that it wouldn't last, and this wasn't a team that was good enough to get to the postseason. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, the Mets have had a terrific year. They've done a lot better than most people thought they were capable of. Davey Johnson saying yesterday, man, we played these guys this spring. And you're wondering if, if they're going to win 50 games. And Davey is surprised as anybody. Job that the Mets and Bobby Valentine have done this year.
Hammonds fouls another out of play off to the right. But now the expectations start to grow, and a couple of injuries have hit. Bobby Jones had 12 wins in a blink. Now his back is acting up. Yorkis Perez getting ready for the Mets out in their bullpen. They traded away Mark Clark, trying to add bullpen depth. Fred Wilpon, the president, CEO of the Mets. It's been a good ride, but the wheels are starting to come off. 2-2 pitch over the outside corner, and a big strikeout for Bohannon. Hammonds 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts.
Brian using his fastball here and getting a call, a little sailing fastball framed nicely by Todd Pratt. See how he brings that mitt a little toward the plate. Could have been outside, but very close.
Baroa. Geronimo fouls one out of play off to the right. So expectations not only within this season, but now they've signed Bobby Valentine to a 3-year contract worth just over $2 million. And the expectations grow for the years to come. Will they add the right parts to stay in contention all year? Mets fans want to know. 1 ball, 1 strike. But there's no doubt that Bobby Valentine squeezed as much as he could out of the group that he's had this season. Even though it has been a poor month of August, it was fun while it lasted as they try to hang in this wild card race. Second and third, 2 out, a 1 ball, 1 strike count on Baroa. Bohannon trying to keep it a 3-run inning. Ball's behind on the count, 2-1. Talk about that wild card race. The Marlins out on the heels of the Atlanta Braves. The Giants 5 games out as they start the day 2.5 out in the NL West. And the Mets 7 back of Florida. Doesn't get away far enough for Bordick, and the count 3-1. It's Bordick at third. The runner at second, Anderson 2 out. And the Orioles leading by 3. Breaking ball grounded to short for Ordonez, and the inning is over. The Orioles miss a chance for an even bigger inning, but they get 3 runs on 4 hits. Leave a couple, and after 2, lead by 3. We have played 2 innings here at Camden Yards, and by the way, the fans here at Baltimore, another sellout, and again, the Orioles over 3 million in attendance, tying the record in franchise history for fewest home dates needed for 3 million fans, 66. And they will go over it yet again here this afternoon as Luis Lopez looks at a strike.
Second biggest crowd of the season last night, over 48,000, packing them in here at Camden Yards. Should be called Camden Yards. They're cramming them in.
It's a strike over the outside part, 0-2. This is, of course, as we talked earlier, a rematch of the '69 World Series. Those amazing Mets. Very good Baltimore Orioles ball club. Baltimore winning game 1, 4-1 behind Cuellar, but then Davy Johnson was a part of that. He made the last out, and as we mentioned that, he walks off.
Davy's still saying that he thought that ball was out of there. Shea Stadium against Jerry Kuzman.
He got the win in the final game, only a 5-game series, as the Mets won the last 4 games. Won the second game here in Baltimore. There's the plaque for Earl Weaver, great manager in Oriole history, and then went back and swept in New York. 0-2 the count on Luis Lopez. So there is history to this interleague rivalry. Broken bat, fly ball up the middle on 1 hop. Wow, what a good play by Bordick. 1 away. Well, as we talk about the '69 series on Fox, we like to show you some of the '69 series. That is Elrod Hendricks, his drive to deep center, and what a defensive day for Tommy Agee. Not just 1 great catch, but 2. The second one to rob Paul Blair. That was game 3 with the series tied 1-1. Mets went on to win that and the series. Davy Johnson part of 4 World Series while a player here with the Orioles. Ray Ordonez hitting only .234, no home runs in just 7 extra base hits this season. Took a ball, now another 2-0.
Some guys are high ball hitters. Ray Ordonez is a high ball swinger. He had .267 last year, and the Mets certainly maximizing Ray's offense last year. He just has to be more selective like he's doing in this at-bat.
Take a look at the hit zone for Ray Ordonez.
Well, for Ray Ordonez, the hit zone is you can take that baby all over the place. You can even go up here. He swings at anything. It's one of the rare 3-0 counts of the year on Ray Ordonez. You just don't see it.
You saw it here on the Saturday baseball game of the week. And it's 3-1 now on Ordonez, trying to get on ahead of Everett. And then Edgardo Alfonso. Mets down by 3. And I mean, just as someone who obviously never played this game at this level, Ordonez has such a big swing.
Big swing for a small guy. That's why you hit a 3-1 fastball down the right field line. It's all right to swing at a pitch like that, but when you do, you want to pull it. You want to hook it down the left field line.
Now the count full from 3-0 to 3-2. And a little pop-up into center field for Brady Anderson. So Krivda came back to get Ordonez. 2 up, 2 down here in the 3rd. That'll bring in Carl Everett with the bases empty. Everett grounded out to first on the first pitch of the afternoon. We remind you this copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Commissioner of Baseball may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. It's a ball to Everett hitting .249. Been a rocky month for Carl Everett. Children in foster care with hearing set. The accusation of child abuse. Trying to play through all of that before the case is heard, and his average sitting below 250 now. Little squirter fair into right field in the second hit of the afternoon for the Mets. Hammond's over to get it, and a 2-out single for Everett, who had 2 RBIs on August 1st. He's had only 2 since.
2 at-bats, 2 broken bats for Carl Everett. The Mets are not hitting balls loudly this afternoon. The Mets have come from behind more than any other major league team. They've done it 39 times this year. But it's important, I think, now that they have to come from behind in the middle innings, because if they don't, then they've got to face that nasty Baltimore bullpen.
There's Alfonso, who grounded out to third his first time up. Edgardo hitting .329 in Krivda. Gives a look at Everett, who has stolen 12. You look at the come-from-behind victories throughout the major leagues. Right now, the Mets on top. 2 ahead of Florida, Pittsburgh, and San Francisco, and then the Orioles. 36. They got number 36 here last night. And you have a chance for all those come-from-behind victories when you have that good bullpen. There's a strike to Alfonso.
Yeah, like last night, Bobby Ballantyne saw the Orioles bullpen hold the Mets scoreless for 5 innings. Just cannot say enough about the job Ray Miller has done with this Baltimore pitching staff. They're about 2 runs per 9 innings, 2 earned runs per 9 innings better this year than they are last year, and the sample's great. I mean, here we are 4/5 of the way through the season.
Big difference between last year's pitching staff and this year's pitching staff. Jimmy Key, who has really set up that top 3 in the rotation here in Baltimore, along with Messina and Erickson. Those 3 leading this Baltimore ball club right through 1997 toward the postseason. The big 3 combined 42 and 18 with an ERA in the 3. Runner at first, 2 out. And the 0-1 to Alfonso. They have Everett picked off, and now they will call a balk. Crowd doesn't realize, neither does the second baseman Rebele, but it's a balk called. I think Mookie Wilson called that before Ray DeMuro called that, and here's Davey Johnson. And the home plate umpire is going to tell him, look, Davey, don't argue or you're gone.
It's like arguing balls and strikes. You cannot argue a step over as a manager. If you argue balls or strikes or a step over when a balk is called, it's an automatic ejection. Home plate umpire Larry Barnett reminding Davey of that. This was a balk because Krivda went behind his left leg. Once that right foot goes behind the left leg, the way I saw it from that angle, then that is a balk if the pitcher goes to first base. Once he lifts that right leg up and it goes behind the left leg, he's committed to go home. Looked like a balk to me.
Now runner at second with 2 out. The 0-1 to Alfonso is grounded to short. Tough play, bad hop, fielded easily by Bordick, and the 2-out hit. Krivda gets around a good start for the left-hander. Rafael Palmeiro, he'll lead it off in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Orioles up 3. Bottom of the 3rd inning here in Baltimore. The Orioles out in front by 3. They bat in the 3rd. Fred McGriff has already homered twice. Let's go to John Rooney and Jeff Torborg in Boston. Let's listen in.
Fred McGriff is the batter. He has 2 home runs. Hit number 19 in the 1st inning, number 20 in the 3rd, both going into the Red Sox bullpen. This is up the middle of the infield and on through for an RBI single. 5 runs batted in for Fred McGriff. So 2 homers and a single. He is perfect and greets John Wasden with a hit.
Thank you, John Rooney. Thank you, Jeff Torborg. Not heard on that clip, but no, that is live at Fenway Park, and McGriff, a big day. Well, how long have the Braves fans been waiting for that? And if they get Fred McGriff going, hitting behind Chipper Jones with that good pitching, all of a sudden they become about twice as dangerous as they already are.
Yeah, hoping that McGriff and Ryan Klesko can get primed for the playoffs.
Klesko's the one that's struggled. Finally homered for the first time in over a month the other night. Hard to believe. 2-2 pitch is ripped foul. Breaking ball that hung from Bohannon.
He is such a good hitter. Of course, it's hot in the middle of the plate. Most major league hitters are like that. That ball down and in. Devastating on that pitch.
That's into right field for Ochoa, back in front of the track. The leadoff man is gone here in the third inning. With that, we remind you, tomorrow it's the season premiere of Fox NFL Sunday. There's the music. And it all starts with America's favorite pregame show. Then catch all the hard-hitting action. NFC Eastern Division rivals square off as the Eagles take on the Giants. Don't miss the return of Fox NFL Sunday tomorrow at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Check local listings for the game and time in your area. Ripken takes a strike.
Matter of fact, you'll be going from round ball today to oval ball tomorrow in St. Louis, right?
Pigskin tomorrow with a neat matchup between Dick Vermeil and Mike Ditka. A couple of former broadcasters. They're going to try their hand at coaching.
And two guys who were not around last year.
Good matchup on Fox. Not only the Giants game tomorrow, but Dallas and Pittsburgh. A good way to kick off the season. Ball and 2 strikes on Ripken, who was hit by a pitch his first time up.
Dallas have their act together this year, JB?
I think they're going to be a dangerous club. It's tough to look at that Dallas team and say, as we have in years past, that they are one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the NFL. As Ripken checks on the second baseman Lopez. 2 up, 2 down here in the third inning. I think, as we talked about last week, same thing I thought last year is true this year with Green Bay, the class of the NFL. But after that in the NFC, you know, San Francisco doesn't appear to be the team it has been over the last handful of years. You've got Dallas with all the internal strife. And
how about the Orangemen?
The Orangemen had a good start to their season.
Right.
But there's no doubt that the Dallas Cowboys still has those weapons with Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, Deion Sanders trying to fight the bad back. I understand he practiced the other day. 0-2 the count on Surhoff, and a base hit. No. To his right, Lopez. Good play.
Look at that little dandy.
Louis Lopez to his right. A ball up the middle, a little short hopping. The defense on display here this afternoon. Lopez takes one away from Surhoff. Orioles go in order. So far, so good for Rick Krivda. Back to work. We're into the top of the 4th inning. Mets bat. They are down by 3. We're going to do another check-in with Boston. John Rooney and Jeff Torborg as we wait to see what happens with rookie sensation Nomar Garciaparra.
Nomar Garciaparra flied to right field in the first inning. And right-hander Kevin Millwood has no-hit Boston through the first 3. 9 up and 9 down. 30-game hitting streak on the line. And there's a play in the middle infield. Blauser calls. And Garciaparra, who likes to swing at the first pitch, is 0 for 2. Ten in a row retired by Kevin Millwood.
Thank you, John Rooney. Are we sure Torborg's there? We haven't heard him yet. You look at the hitting streak this season, and it's impressive. Nomar Garciaparra 30, but you start putting it against hitting streaks by other rookies, Tim McCarver, and as Bernard Gilkey draws a leadoff walk here in the 4th inning, you start to realize just how special Nomar Garciaparra really is.
The last rookie to hit in 30 games or more consecutively, Jerome Walton back in 1989. The record held by Benito Santiago. He hit in 34 straight as a rookie in 87. It's tough to hit consecutively wearing uniforms like that. The fashion statement of 80 years ago, a little bit different than it is today, wouldn't you say?
A little more blousy. I think I'd look husky in one of those uniforms.
Those are some bad-looking uniforms.
Here's a strike over the inside corner to Husky. He grounded out to third his first time up. Krivda trying to get around a leadoff walk, and as the Mets fans here at Camden Yards start to chant "Let's go Mets," the Orioles fans try to drown them out.
Bunch of Mets fans driving down from New York, about a 4-hour drive from the New York area. 2 hours and 20 minutes on the Metro liner, 45 minutes by plane.
0-1 pitch. Instead, another check on Gilkey. Now, how did all those Mets fans get tickets for this series?
Think ahead.
Clout. One of the two.
I have no idea.
Maybe both.
Yeah, maybe both. Yeah.
Is that John Lovitz in the crowd?
No.
0-1 the count on Butch Husky, who bounced out to third his first time up. Mets down by 3, trying to take advantage of a leadoff walk. That won't help. Into right field for Jeffrey Hammonds. 1 on, 1 out. Well, on August 20th, Bobby Valentine made the public statements to the New York media about Todd Hundley, saying Todd Hundley doesn't get his sleep. He doesn't get enough sleep. And it started a storm with the papers in New York. You see that word rift in the headlines, and you have to wonder what the purpose of it was by Bobby Valentine. And after that, when you look back on the entire situation, I at least applaud Hundley for the way he handled it, reacted to it, and the way he's been able to move on.
It was a ridiculous remark by Bobby Valentine. And then after a while, he even was talking about how the media had their take on it. And really, those were quotes from Bobby Valentine. Bobby not coming out and apologizing to Todd. We do not know whether he apologized privately to Hundley. But it was something that if he had to do all over again, he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't handle it like that.
Batter is Pratt, who's in the lineup today in place of Hundley. And that pitch misses for ball 1.
Todd Hundley, one of the real gamers in baseball, one of the true leaders in the Mets clubhouse. His mother with terminal cancer, his wife pregnant with their 3rd child.
He's playing with a bad right elbow.
Yep, bad right big toe.
And I think very obvious, he is the one guy, I think undisputed, the one guy that this Mets club revolves around. You talk to pitchers, you talk to bench players, you talk to anybody on this Mets team, they'll say, where he goes, we go. And he will take us either to the postseason or, well, there's only so much one guy can do. He's hit 28 home runs this season. He's driven in 80 after last year setting the all-time Major League record for home runs hit by a catcher with 41. 1 on, 1 out. Runner is going. Pratt comes up empty as Gilkey steals his 7th of the season.
That could be inadvertent interference on Todd Pratt. It doesn't matter whether it's intentional or not. Todd Pratt's swing taking him in to Chris Hoyles. Watch Chris try to get the throw away, and I think Pratt made contact. Or did he? The throw going toward the second baseman, kind of fading into the baseline. No, he hit him with the bat, and then he made contact with the body. Interference could be called on that, and I think Davey Johnson's arguing that right now with home plate umpire Larry Barnett. I think Davey's got a good argument. You got the backswing that hit Hoyles in the back, but I think making contact with the body, it does not have to be intentional for interference to be called, but certainly Todd Pratt interfering inadvertently with Chris Hoyles. I mean, that's contact with the bat and the body.
That's not interference with the catcher. You wonder what is. Hit him twice.
Yeah, I think the Mets got a break on that.
Gilkey gets his 7th stolen base of the season.
There's the hit in the back, and now the contact with the body, but Gilkey with a stolen base.
And absolutely no chance for Hoyles as the throw sailed like you'd think it might on a play such as that. Now Pratt at the plate, runner at second, 1 out, and a 1-ball, 1-strike count. And time called at the plate. Todd Pratt, a guy who is hitting .400 with runners in scoring position, albeit with limited chances for the Mets this season. Already has a hit today. He's hitting .400 for the year. The 1-1 from Krivda. To the third baseman, Ripken. Takes his time, 2 out.
A lot of great stories on the field today between the lines, and none better than Todd Pratt. I mean, here Todd Pratt, after retiring in 1995, was at Bucky Dent Baseball School in Fort Lauderdale, Florida last year as an instructor. And here he is back.
I thought he wasn't a camper.
No, was not a camper. Well, I'll tell you, if he was a camper and back in the big leagues the next year, Bucky Dent's doing a heck of a job in that baseball school down in Fort Lauderdale.
To see a bunch of kids lining up, and then Todd Pratt. Help me, Bucky. Get back to the big league. Runner at second, 2 out. Ochoa took a strike over the outside corner. Alex hitting only .216. He popped out to short. First time up. Looking for the 2-out RBI hit. 3-0. The Orioles out in front. Krivda trying to get through 4 shutout innings, and he's out in front of Ochoa, 0-2.
Again, that lazy bat head speed through the strike zone. Ochoa hitting the ball the other way. Bat head speed is important to a hitter as golf head speed is important to a golfer.
Krivda has Ochoa set up for his first strikeout of the afternoon. Wouldn't chase it, 1-2. While all that stuff happened between Bobby Valentine and Todd Hundley, the Mets were talking to Bobby Valentine about a new contract for the next 3 years. He got that contract. And Todd Hundley was, we said, very gracious in supporting his manager and the move by the Mets. Little check swing grounder foul outside first. It was about a year ago this week that Bobby Valentine took over for Dallas Green. And his Mets have a record of 71-62. 7 games out in the wild card race behind the Marlins. Gilkey, the runner at second, 2 out, and a 1-2 count on Ochoa. Lead-off walk, and Krivda's done well to try to get around it. He needs 1 more strike, 1 more out. Into center field for the 2-out RBI hit. Gilkey will score without a play, and it's 3-1. Now just a 2-run lead here in the 4th inning as Ochoa gets some former teammates with that 2-out RBI hit to center.
Alex saying, did I break my bat? Yes, I did. Will I take it? Yes, I will. I'll trade a bat for a hit any day. Crowded with the fastball once again. Clearly, that's the way the Orioles are trying to pitch, Alex. Inside. And he fights it off to drive in the first Mets run of the day.
And the crowd gets into it again. 1 on, 2 out. Here's Brian McRae. Interesting the way Palmeiro plays with a runner at first. Last night was in this same spot when they picked off Brian McRae, who's at the plate now. Not really holding the runner on right on the bag, but kind of in between the runner and the bag.
And plus it gives him a couple of extra steps to cheat into the hole when your second baseman is playing close to the bag for a play at second base. It cuts down the hole on the right side. And really, if you're the base runner on a first base, I think it's a very novel, unconventional way to play the pickoff position. Palmeiro does it. I don't believe anybody else does it. Keith Hernandez used to do it when he was first baseman for the Mets, however.
When you have that left-hander on the mound, it makes it a little easier with that left-hander able to look over, see exactly where you are, as opposed to a right-hander who would have to whirl and throw. Get a couple of extra feet in fair territory when you do it that way, as ball one misses up and away to Brian McCray. Look at the base running against the Orioles this season. Last year, only 25 caught stealing. This year, 39 caught stealing. And don't just look at the catchers, Webster and Hoyles, but look at the pitching coach, Ray Miller, and his work with the pitching staff to keep the runners close. That's hooked foul. 1-1. We can't say enough, and his pitchers can't say enough, the job Ray Miller has done with this 1997 staff. A 1-ball, 1-strike count on McCray as Miller wonders how Krivda will get out of this fourth inning. Krivda's allowed a run on a 2-out RBI hit by Ochoa, and very deliberate here in working to McCray.
Too deliberate. You think long, you think wrong. And that's the one thing that Ray Miller has. Work quickly, change speeds, stay ahead.
Check swing ground ball to the left side for Ripken. Tough play and not in time. An infield hit, and the inning will continue.
The worst thing about working slowly is that your defense can't pick up a sense of rhythm when they play behind you. Now, Cal Ripken Jr., even if his rhythm were perfect, would not have made that play. He's got too much to do in too short a time. McCray, a fast runner, beats it easily. But sometimes pitchers, by taking too much time between pitches, it ruins the flow of the guys who are playing behind them.
So now 2 on, 2 out as Luis Lopez gets a chance. Tying runs are on here in the fourth inning, and there's ball one. At natural speed, listen to the foot of McCray hit the bag. And that infield hit, second hit of the inning and fourth of the afternoon for the Mets. Luis Lopez batting in that number 8 spot. Takes ball 2 high. And Krivda starting to spring a leak here in the fourth inning. Ochoa, the runner, at second with McCray on at first. Good speed aboard for the Mets. Lopez on 2-0. 2 balls and a strike. Orioles and Mets fans
have to wonder who's going to pick up the check tonight.
Might be sharing one seat there. Trying to cram as many people into this ballpark. It's been a fun series already. Lopez into right center field. It'll fall for a hit. Ochoa will come to the plate, score without a play, and it's a 1-run game. Three straight 2-out singles. And a visit from Ray Miller to Rick Krivda here in the fourth inning.
And reading between the lines, you'd have to think that Ray Miller, one of his messages from Davey Johnson is to pick up the pace. Since you started talking about Krivda working slowly, only bad things have happened to Krivda. And we also talked about the Baltimore Orioles and how balanced they've been. What would the Mets be without the extra men that they have brought up from Norfolk this year? And Louis Lopez, a typical example. He has come up with one big hit after another. We talked about Bohannon earlier. We talked about Todd Pratt. And the manager of the AAA affiliate of the Mets is Rick Dempsey, who used to star for the Baltimore Orioles. Matter of fact, he and Harry Dalton and Davey Johnson were inducted to the Baltimore Hall of Fame, the Orioles Hall of Fame, yesterday, and the awards will be given tomorrow here at Camden Yards.
That shuttle has worked well for the Mets between New York and Norfolk. The guys that have had the chance to come up in key situations have come through. A big reason why they're hanging on with any hope of trying to get closer to the Marlins. Now first and third, 2 out for Ray Ordonez, who has driven in 26 this season. Taking all the way, and strike one from Krivda.
I think if Bobby Valentine sees the count go to 0-2 or 1-2, he'll send Lopez. If you're the runner on at third base, to prevent the catcher from seeing how far you're off from third, you move into the baseline. Try to coax him into throwing the ball through. Good speed on the corners for the Mets here.
And an 0-1 count on Ordonez. Breaking ball, ground ball, foul outside third for strike 2.
You may see some movement right here. My point was that if you're the runner off at third base like McCray is right now, you lead off in foul territory in case the ball hits you. It's going to be a foul ball. But with the runner on first running, you move into the line, thereby deceiving the catcher. He can't see how far you're off of third base, whereas if you were outside the line, he could see it quite easily. Look for Lopez to go right here.
With a count of 0-2 on Ordonez. Not going as Ordonez pops it to center. Should end the inning. Anderson back to get it. The Mets get 2. A leadoff walk. Krivda could not get around it. Hits by Ochoa, McCray, and Lopez, and all of a sudden it's a 1-run game. Oriole Park at Camden Yards as we get into the bottom of the 4th inning. The Orioles out in front now by 1. It's a 3-2 game. And the bottom part of the lineup coming up for the Orioles. It'll be Hoyles, Rebele, and Bordick. If anybody gets on, Brady Anderson here in the 4th. Hoyles has a hit. Bottom part of the lineup has been doing the damage here this afternoon for the Mets. Hits by Ochoa, McCray, and Lopez. And in that 3-run second, hits by Hoyles, Rebele, and Bordick. The RBI hit by Brady Anderson is the difference in this game right now, with the Orioles leading 3-2. Well hit into left field. Everett back. Goodbye.
This park smalls up in a hurry when you have guys like Hoyles and Palmeiro, Ripken and Anderson. Looked like an inside cut fastball. Not for long.
And now the breaking ball stays high to Rebele. That is number 11 for Chris Hoyles. RBI number 45. Rebele gets out in front 2-0. So the Mets make it a 1-run game, and now Hoyles makes it a 2-run game. 4-2 in the 4th inning. 3-0 now on Rebele.
It's another thing a home run does. It sometimes scares a pitcher out of the strike zone. See a guy pop one. You don't want to come back and challenge anybody.
And he walks Rebele. He's hitting only .232 at the start of the day on 4 pitches. And a bad time for his first walk of the afternoon. Fred McGriff is 3 for 3 with 5 driven in today, a couple of home runs. Let's take you back now to Boston. John Rooney and Jeff Torborg. Let's listen in.
This means trouble for the Boston Red Sox. McGriff is up again with a runner on base. A 2-run homer in the first inning, a 2-run shot in the third for McGriff. He goes the other way, down the line, and a foul ball. Only 3-10 to the monster in left field, and McGriff tried to make it a 4-hit game with his 3rd home run. He drove in a run with a single in the 4th inning. Just missed the left field foul pole. Fred McGriff with a 1-ball, 1-strike count. He was in the Yankee organization, then over to the Blue Jays, San Diego to Atlanta. Swinging through the fastball, 1 ball and 2 strikes. McGriff hit his home runs off Tim Wakefield, but greeted Wasden with a single to center field, scoring Jones in the 4th. We had a game last year, Jeff, where McGriff beat the Cubs with a 9th inning home run. But he has the ability and he has the makeup to shine in those situations.
He really does. Now remember, John, the first 2 at-bats were against a knuckleball, throwing it softer. Now it's harder. He might go the other way with this rather than pull this pitch.
It's this one into center field and a long run in for Darren Bragg. And Bragg makes the catch. McGriff is out number 1 in the 6th inning, and it took a great diving catch by Bragg in center field.
Thank you, John Rooney and Jeff Torborg. We are in the bottom of the 4th inning. Runner goes, hit and run is on, and Bordick grounds to second for the first out here in the 4th inning. You could see Bordick with a concerted effort trying to go the other way, but Lopez was not covering. Bordick hit it to get Rebelay down to second with 1 out for the top of the order. Brady Anderson, who was 1 for 2 this afternoon, and then Jeffrey Hammonds as the Orioles try to add to their 2-run 4th inning lead.
I think if Brady Anderson gets on, Bobby Ballantyne will take Bohannon out of the game. I think this is a key guy for Bohannon to get out. Otherwise, he could be gone.
Hard hit, but right at Husky. Good play, 2 out. Over to third is Rebelay, and the batter will be Hammond. Well, Saturdays, don't miss In the Zone, the baseball show for the Fox generation. Watch the Cyber Zone segment. Your chance to live out your baseball fantasy with your favorite player. Catch In the Zone Saturdays, 1/2 hour before game time on Fox. Some of the older Oriole fans living in the area have different fantasy involving Brady Anderson, the big heartthrob here in Baltimore, but that's a primetime show. Runner at third, 2 out. Jeffrey Hammonds takes low and away for ball 1. Brady Anderson, by the way, the 2nd out of this inning. Corey Lytle getting loose and getting loose in a hurry. That caught the corner, 1-1. You're not throwing in with me on that one.
I do not have to reply with everything or to everything. And it's a good thing.
Runner at third, Rebelay, 2 out. A ball and a strike. And Hammonds, who is 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts, takes ball 2 down and in.
I just folded my hand considering the odds.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Jeffrey is looking for RBI number 46. 2-2. Pretty good balance to this Baltimore Oriole lineup. And tough to pitch to with the lefty Anderson, right-hander Hammonds, then Baroa, then back to the left-hander Palmeiro, followed up by Ripken, the right-handed hitter, then Surhoff, the lefty. Ideal situation for Davy Johnson. Runner at third, 2 out, 2-2, now 3-2.
The only real weakness of this Baltimore team, and Davy Johnson will admit that, especially with Alomar and Davis out of there, the lack of speed. They don't combat teams that can run, nor do they run themselves.
3-2 pitch. Hammond stays alive, trying to fend off his third strikeout of the day.
Orioles would be very, very cautious in bringing Robbie Alomar back and make sure that both he and Eric Davis are ready before they try it in September.
Again, the 3-2 right back up the middle. Rebele scores, and it's a 5-2 Oriole lead.
Bobby Valentine does not make the moves. It's Bob Apodaca. Wonder if he's thinking now with Palmeiro up next, whether to bring in Corey Lytle as Jeffrey Hammond's on a fastball low and away. Hits it right back through the box, and that's where you should try to hit all of those fastballs back through the box.
Baroa takes the ball down and in. Geronimo has a single, a ground out. Check on Hammonds, as we mentioned earlier, bothered by that left heel, and I guess this would lead you to believe that Baroa they'll take their chances with, but with Palmeiro to follow, they're going to stay with Bohannon. Palmeiro, by the way, 0 for 2 here this afternoon. Woo. 2-0. Too bad when he tries to steal. 93%, highest in the American League. They tried it 14 times, but he has 13. 2-0 the count. Now 3-0.
I would imagine Baroa will be swinging here. Davy Johnson is the type. Matter of fact, it's one of Davy's strongest suits among many as a manager. He goes for the throat.
There you go, 3-1 as Baroa came up empty.
Yeah, that's the problem with allowing a guy like Baroa, who's a free swinger, to swing at a 3-0 pitch. Often he doesn't make it a good enough strike to go after.
Look at the middle infielders. Ordonez is on your left, Lopez on the right, and from 3-0 to 3-2.
It's a full count on Baroa after Bohannon had thrown 5 straight balls. Should be ball 5. That's what Davy's talking about right there.
3 balls, 2 strikes. The runner goes and struck him out. Came back from 3-0 to get him. The free swinger Baroa is gone. And after 4, after the Mets got 2, the Orioles got him right back. Well, Rick Krivda gave up 2 in the top of the 4th inning. His teammates came right back with 2 runs in the bottom of the 4th inning. A home run by Hoyles leading off. And then the 2-out RBI hit by Jeffrey Hammond. Everett comes up empty, strike 1 as we begin the 5th. It is Labor Day weekend, and we have been laboring to get catcher cam back up and running. In case you're wondering, showed it to you in the first couple of innings. Having some technical difficulties with it, but we can get it going again. We will show you those pictures from the mask of Chris Hoyles. Little squirter off to the right side. Going to be a tough play for Rebele, and got him. Wow. Throwing it as he falls for the first out here in the 5th.
Terrific play by Rebele, twisting and turning, and enough on the throw to just get Everett. Boy, that's a good play right there. Throwing as he came up. Heard of back swings. He really had no chance to get leverage on that throw. That was a terrific play by Jeff Rebele.
And helped by the fact that he had a left-handed first baseman. Reached past the bag and made the play. That's Alomar-esque by Rebele. Here's Alfonso. Edgardo, a guy who early in the year you kept saying, well, people are going to start to talk about the Gold Glove for Alfonso. And not only have they started to talk about it, Tim, there's a chance he could win it in his first full year at third base.
I don't know who's better defensively in the National League. I don't think anybody's even close, as a matter of fact.
One out, nobody on, and Alfonso Bordick from the hole. Going to be a tough play, and not in time. Did all he could, but an infield hit for Alfonso. His first hit of the day. With that, we revisit 1969 in the World Series between the Mets and the Orioles. Game 4, Mets up 2-1, ninth inning. Mets leading. Frank Robinson on third. There's the catch. Ron Swoboda. Orioles would tie it on that play on the sac fly, but the Mets would win it 2-1 in 10 innings. As we mentioned earlier, win that series 4-1. Here's Gilkey, 1 on, 1 out. And ball 1 to Bernard, who walked, stole a base, and scored last inning.
You see some World Series where there is one good catch in the World Series. The 54 series, Mays catch off the bat of Vic Wertz, the catch. But rarely do you see 3 of the caliber that was made by the Mets in 1969. 2 by Agee, 1 by Swoboda.
A strength to Gilkey, 1-1. Just capped off that amazing year. Unbelievable. Interesting article in Sports Illustrated, the recent issue, talking about how quickly expansion teams compete. And the Mets were an amazing story. After entering the league 62, now 69, they get to the World Series, they win it. But now the length of time between entering baseball as a team and competing or getting to the postseason has been shrinking. Colorado getting there, Florida trying to get there this year, their 5-year existence.
And don't look for Arizona to hang around in the second division for too many years before they contend.
2 balls and a strike on Bernard Gilkey. Now 3-1. Husky will follow.
Matter of fact, 2 key ingredients that we would like to extend get well wishes and in a hurry. Mark Belanger, who was the shortstop of that 69 Oriole team, and Boog Powell, who was the first baseman. Key ingredients for the Orioles. Both guys very ill right now, and our thoughts are with them.
And both guys still very active with this franchise. Boog Powell with a barbecue stand out beyond the right field wall here at Camden Yards. He had the colon cancer surgery, and then Belanger, well, part of that strong left side here with the Orioles. Brooks Robinson, part of 2 pairs of Gold Glove winners on the left side of the infield defense with the Orioles.
That was the policy of groundskeeper over at Memorial Stadium. Keep the infield grass high on the left side and put Brooks and Mark out there every day. Boy, they did ever work, as you saw Terry Matthews warming up.
Runner going on ball 4 high to Bernard Gilkey. Second time he's walked, and it's getting a little scary again for Rick Cribden.
Especially with Butch Husky coming up, the Mets power guy.
Talk football tomorrow, the season premiere of Fox NFL Sunday. It all starts with America's favorite pregame show. And catch all the hard-hitting action when NFC Eastern Division rivals square off. The Eagles and Giants Don't miss the return of Fox NFL Sunday tomorrow, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Check local listings. 2 on, 1 out. Here's Husky, 0 for 2 this afternoon. Breaking ball is high. A walk got Cribbed in trouble in the 4th inning. To Gilkey leading off. Now, the walk to Gilkey here in the 5th inning puts 2 on for Husky, and a visit from Hoyles.
This visit from Chris Hoyles was ordered by Davy Johnson to give Terry Matthews a chance to warm up. This is a dangerous situation, and Davy, of course, knows it because Butch Husky, one of the real power guys and one of the real mistake hitters in the National League. Butch Husky, a guy with a slider speed bat. He can't hit the 92 or 93 mile an hour fastball, but the mediocre stuff he tears into.
And evidently vulnerable to that pitch middle in. But not down and in. He goes down to get that pitch, and a little flare to center. It's trouble and a hit. Here comes Alfonso, and it's a 2-run game again on a bloop hit by Husky.
That's a power hitter base hit. You have to play power hitters so deep that normal guys don't get a base hit on this ball because Brady Anderson would be much more shallow. This ball plopping in front of Anderson, and Husky with an RBI. No such thing as a tainted RBI. It's like a broken bat hit. They'll take it.
And number 64 on the year for Husky. Now 2 on, 1 out. And here is Todd Pratt. And the Mets fans getting after it again with the Let's Go Mets chant. A 5-3 Oriole lead. Tying runs are on here in the 5th inning. 2 hits and a walk. And in an effort to get Cribbed through 5 innings, this lead could slip even further away. Pratt already has a hit today, 1 for 2. And he's been good with runners in scoring position this season. Two aboard, only 1 out, and that caught the outside corner, 1-1. Runners in scoring position today. The Mets 3 out of 6. The Orioles. Big RBI hit from Fordick in the 2nd. A base hit from Anderson. A 2-out RBI hit by Hammonds in the bottom of the 4th. Gilkey and Husky aboard for Pratt. Late with that swing, strike 2. Good speed with the lead runner, Gilkey. Pratt will try to chase him home. Set up at a ball and 2 strikes. Gilkey stealing third as Pratt fouls one out of play right side.
Gilkey with a great jump off of second base, and the trail runner, Butch Husky, not running. Because a guy like Chris Hoyles would go for the trail runner. You mentioned the lead runner, Gilkey, with good speed. And with 1 out, a good time to try to steal. But the trail runner is not committed to follow the guy at second because he doesn't know what kind of jump he can get.
Well, that replay gave you an idea of how good a jump Gilkey had.
Yeah.
Now with 2 on, 1 out, the 1-2 pitch. Into left center field and trouble. Gilkey will score. Husky digs for third. They'll bring him around. It is a 2-run double, and it's a 5-5 game.
Bucky Dent Baseball School teaches hitting, too, right?
Evidently. And Pratt is 2 out of 3 today, and this double will chase Rick Cribbed in the 5th.
Hanging breaking ball to Todd Pratt, who continues his unbelievable assault since being called up about a month ago. He has really filled in admirably for Todd Hundley, being given a rest today.
Krivda staked to a 3-0 lead, then a 5-2 lead. Leaves with Pratt at second, 1 out in a 5-5 game. They start their Oriole fans here young in Baltimore. Young man just said, Daddy, they should have taken Krivda out sooner. But that isn't the case, and what was a 3-0 lead, then a 5-2 lead, is now a 5-5 game, and here's the right-hander, Terry Matthews, taking over in the 5th inning. Record of 3-2, a big part of this bullpen as Ochoa looks at the first pitch and pops it into shallow center for boarding. 2 out. Ochoa didn't wait around long. Alex 1 out of 3 with an RBI hit and a run scored. And it will be up to Brian McCray. Brian hitting .242, came into this game his 21st with the New York Mets, hitting .250 with New York. The home run, 6 driven in, and 0 stolen bases.
And even with first base open here and 2 outs, I think Luis Lopez presents a bigger threat than Brian McCray, or at least that's been the case since McCray joined the Mets. So I don't think the Orioles will try to pitch around McCray in this situation.
There's Lopez, who has an RBI hit this afternoon. Mets have the go-ahead run at second with 2 out and a 2-0 count on Brian McCray.
There are 2 things Davey Johnson hates. He hates to intentionally walk a hitter, and he hates to squeeze. He considers an intentional walk just another chance for a team to score. A lot of truth in that.
3-0. Matthews has yet to throw McCray a strike, and Lopez may get his chance. Wouldn't think he'd groove one here to McCray with 2 out. Ryan Bohannon is off the hook. Low for ball 4 and a walk on 4 straight to put it right in the lap of Luis Lopez. So Matthews comes in out of the bullpen, gets Ochoa on the pop-up, but now walks McCray. Here's Lopez, a .282 hitter with 13 RBIs. Number 13 coming in that 2-run 4th inning. It's been a 3-run 5th inning for New York. And they have 2 on, 2 out. Lopez trying to put the Mets on top. That's well hit into right field. Back to get it. Hammonds on the track to end the inning. So the Mets get 3 to tie. They leave a couple. They've stranded 6 halfway through it. Back to where we started. Tied at 5.
Fox Saturday Baseball Game of the Week, brought to you by Prime Star Satellite TV, with no equipment to buy for the best value in satellite TV. By Miller Lite, who reminds you that anything can happen at Miller time. By Quaker State, the quality your car deserves. And by Pepsi, who invites you to join Generation Next.
A look at downtown Baltimore as we get into the bottom of the 5th inning. 5-5 game, and Rafael Palmeiro will lead it off against the left-hander Brian Bohannon, joined in the booth by the assistant general manager here with the Orioles, Kevin Malone. Kevin, thanks for stopping by.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You and your partner in crime, Pat Gillick, feel free to walk into any booth with the kind of success as Palmeiro hits it a ton to right. Is it fair or foul? It is a foul ball to start the 5th inning. But you've been seeing a lot of that out of Rafael Palmeiro. You've been seeing a lot of wins here in Baltimore this year.
Well, we're having a lot of fun. We tried to change the complexion of the club, tried to make it more diverse, win games different ways, manufacture runs, but it always helps when you can get that long ball when you need it. Last year we hit all the home runs. This year we're just scoring enough runs to win because our pitching's so good.
It also helps to get money when you need it too, right? Down here is a lot different from when you were with Montreal as a GM.
Timmy, you're right. It's such a difference here with Mr. Angelos committed to winning. committed to spending the resources to get the best players possible for the Orioles fans. It's a great place, a great stadium. I'm just thank the good Lord that I'm here and can be a part of it.
Got a good manager in that dugout as well to put everything together. Two very strong personalities, though. Davey Johnson in the dugout, not one to back down from anything. Peter Angelos, the owner. You guys have to kind of walk that balance between those two, don't you?
Well, I read somewhere where all four of us were called, from Mr. Angelos, Davey, Pat, and myself, Mavericks, and it's kind of fun when you got four Mavericks together. You kind of got to take care of each other and help each other out, but we make a good team, and thus far it's worked out.
There's only one Maverick that has the final say, however.
You're right.
That's Peter.
That's right. He's the main Maverick.
As we get close to having to finalize the rosters for the postseason, the 3-2 pitch to Palmeiro, grounded hard. Good play by Husky. And the leadoff man is gone here in the 5th inning. You guys going to add anybody? Any surprises coming up, or is it going to be pretty usual with the guys coming up?
No, Joe, we've worked hard thus far to put this club together. We worked hard in the off season. We've made some acquisitions as the season progressed, and we had various injuries, but this is the club we feel we're going to go with. We might add some guys from the minor leagues to fill out the bench, but this is what we've got. We like our chances, and hopefully we can continue to play the way we're playing.
And speaking of the bench, you have two guys on the bench that you're hopeful of coming back, Eric Davis and Robbie Alomar.
You're right. They're key players for us, especially getting Eric back after all he's gone through will be a great lift. It's already been an emotional lift thus far, but seeing on the field will be outstanding for us. And Robbie, he's day-to-day, and when we can get both those guys back in the lineup, we think we should be hitting on all cylinders, and that's going to make our offense much better. And thus far, I think that's what has been a little bit lacking because our pitching has been so good.
0-2 the count on Ripken with 1 out, nobody on here in the 5th inning, and he's able to check his swing. You talk about your pitching, not only the top 3 in your rotation with some help here and there from your 4 and 5 guys, but that bullpen, Kevin, you and Pat have to be awful proud of what you've been able to put together for Davey Johnson out in that pen.
Well, Pat Gillick's great to work for, the best in the business as far as I'm concerned, and that was one of our goals in the offseason, was to solidify the bullpen. We knew if we could shorten the games that we had a good chance of winning. Pat did it in Toronto with Ward and Hinkie. I was fortunate to have Rojas setting up Wetland in Montreal in '94, and we felt like if we could really stabilize and strengthen the bullpen, that we could shorten the game, and we felt our starters could get us 6 or maybe 7, and we liked our chances if we got late in the game and we had a lead, or if we were close.
And also seeing the success the Yankees had last year with Rivera and John Wetland.
That's exactly right. We took a page out of their notebook, and we've applied it to ourselves, and thus far it's worked. But we've got a lot of good guys out there. We're fortunate to have more than 2. I mean, you can call on anybody on any given day, and he can either set up or close a particular day. Armando Benitez is starting to come into his own. Arthur Rhodes has just been outstanding. Alan Mills is on his way back. Terry Matthews has done a good job for us. Orozco and his. There's just so many guys that gives Davey so many weapons that to choose from.
Just missing outside. Bohannon thought he had something there, but Ripken stays around with a 2-ball, 2-strike count. And all Bobby Valentine can do is just smile. So Ripken gets another chance. 2-2 pitch. Tries to pull that outside pitch right at the third baseman, Alfonso. 2 up, 2 down here in the 5th inning. So setting the regular season aside, if you can, or if you're willing to look ahead, if things stay the way they are right now, you're looking at a first-round matchup with the old Seattle Mariners, and that's never pleasant when you have a guy like Randy Johnson as a lead dog there.
No, Joe, you're right. You would think that winning the division would have some sort of advantage, but it's almost in this instance a disadvantage opening up with Seattle out there. We've been fortunate. We've won 4 out of 5 out there this year. We beat them 7 out of 11.
And also, Kevin, you've beaten Randy Johnson once, I know of, but maybe twice.
We beat him twice, and another no decision.
All 3 games, though, that they've taken on Randy Johnson, they've won.
But that doesn't really make it much easier, and it doesn't give us a whole lot of excitement about facing him in the playoffs.
Zerhoff pops it up into left for Everett. Kevin Malone, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you guys. You guys are doing a great job. I just want to commend you and Fox for what you've done for baseball. Keep up the great work, and look forward to seeing you down the road.
Thanks, Kev.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
It's Kevin Malone, the assistant GM here in Baltimore. After 5, we're tied at 5. That is the B&O Warehouse Out beyond the wall in right field here at Camden Yards. Griffey's hit that thing. B&O Warehouse. Is that where the Monopoly guy lives out there with the top hat and the little white mustache?
You can pass go, and the way baseball salaries are now, it's more than $200 if you do.
Here is Ordonez leading off.
We're getting into 5 figures in Monopoly now, as far as baseball Monopoly is concerned.
Ray Ordonez is 0 for 2. There's Peter Angelos, who's been handing out a lot of that Monopoly money around here in Baltimore over the past few years.
That's the main Maverick.
As we just learned. Pitch is low to Ordonez, the number 9 hitter, a ball and a strike. Understand that contract negotiations between Peter Angelos and Brady Anderson have at least restarted, to the point where they have an open dialogue trying to keep Brady around here as Ordonez flies to right. Into the glove of Hammonds, 1 away. Don't forget that next week on the Fox Saturday Baseball Game of the Week, the playoff race heats up when AL Eastern Division rivals clash as the Orioles take on the Yankees. Plus other crucial matchups, including Florida and L.A. Coverage begins 1/2 hour before game time with In the Zone, followed by all the action. Check your local listings for the game and time in your area. 1 out, nobody on, as Ordonez is 0 for 3. Here is Everett, who's 1 for 3. With a single, he takes a strike. Good work by Matthews since entering in the 5th. Hooked foul down the right field line, strike 2. These Mets, by the way, as we go along here in a tie game, are loaded on their bench today. They've got Matt Franco over there, John Olerud, Todd Hundley, and Carlos Baerga. Loaded, especially from the left side. 0-2 pitch. Ball and 2 strikes.
That's why I think Davey Johnson will save Jesse Orozco, who is still very, very effective against left-handed batters. There's Jesse right there with that yellow hammer of his. I'm telling you, that curveball, as good as any left-handers in the business at 40 years old. Been doing it for a long time.
And a big part of the success with Davey Johnson in New York with the Mets. I mean, he had a run there that really is unparalleled.
1981 to through 1987.
6 first or second place finishes, averaging 96 wins a year.
And if the Orioles win 15 more games, Davey Johnson will be one of only 3 managers to win 100 games with 2 different teams. He did it with the Mets back in 1986 when the Mets won 108 games. The only other managers to do that, Earl Weaver, I beg your pardon, Whitey Herzog did it with Kansas City, and then with St. Louis in '85.
Everett hits one deep to center. Anderson misread it at the track over his head, and 1 hop over the wall for a ground rule double. Brady did not get a very good jump on that ball, and I think Everett surprised him with his pop into center.
I think what Brady did, he broke to his right, and then he broke back. And by the time he was on his horse, the ball that Everett hit bounces over the fence, and that's a break for the Orioles, because had that ball hit the top of the fence, and Everett has a triple.
Instead, a 1-out ground rule double, and here is Edgardo Alfonzo.
By the way, the only other manager besides Herzog to win 100 games with 2 different teams, Sparky Anderson. He did it 3 times with the Reds and once with the Tigers in 1984.
Go-ahead run at second with 1 out. And Alfonso trying to shoot one the other way. Fouls it back for strike 1. You look at Edgardo's outfield hits by direction.
That's surprising in that there are that many to left field. Talked about Alex Ochoa's slot is to right field. Well, Alfonso's natural hitting style carries him to right.
0 for 1 with runners in scoring position today, but for the year came in at 447. You can see Everett bothering Matthews back at second base. Fake to go 2 times, and Matthews misses for ball 1, 1-1. This is the guy that the Mets want at the plate, Edgardo Alfonzo, looking for RBI number 65. Terry Matthews, Chris Hoyles going to talk it over. They cannot get together on signs or how to work to Alfonso.
One of the most impressive things about Edgardo Alfonso, he's only 23 years old, but he's going on 32 as far as baseball experience is concerned. He was that way when he was a 19-year-old kid coming up in the Mets organization. And look at the year he is having. On-base percentage and average 6th in the National League. And Joe and I mentioning early that he is the odds-on favorite to win his first Gold Glove Award. Matter of fact, the Mets have had such a difficult time finding third baseman. They've had 108 in their history, and that's in only 36 years. But Alfonso should be there for a long, long time.
A ball and a strike on Edgardo, looking for the go-ahead RBI hit here in the 6th inning. Tied game 5-5. And Everett really bothering Matthews and just able to get back in time.
You don't often see a pitcher, a right-handed pitcher, turn to his right to throw to second base. But watch Terry Matthews realizing that he's got a shot at Everett. He steps off, turns to his right, and Everett back in time.
You know, it's amazing looking at that first replay that Matthews didn't balk. I mean, he just stared right at Everett as he took 2.5 steps toward third. Was calm enough to step off and throw. Now the 1-1 pitch and spin move to try to keep Everett close, but there's no doubt Everett is bothering Matthews here in the 6th.
It's very difficult for a pitcher to balk going to second base, because you can fake there even if you're on the rubber. Same thing to third. You can't fake to first or to home.
A ball and a strike on Alfonso, and that caught the outside corner. Strike 2.
That was nasty there. Ball pitchers put pitches in that location time and time again. There'd be a lot of hitters out of work.
Home plate umpire Larry Barnett giving Matthews the corner, and now a 1-2 count. The go-ahead run, Everett at second, 1 out. And time call just before the pitch.
Sometimes a hitter can't put his hand up, but he'll say timeout, and an umpire will grant him that. I think that's going to change. I think umpires have been very resilient with hitters this year in both leagues, granting timeout very late. We've seen it often. Alfonso, a real tendency to go to right field with 2 strikes on it. Really cuts down on his swing when he has 2 strikes.
2-2.
As a matter of fact, Joe, that's the time to pitch Alfonso inside. He's an inside hitter up to 2 strikes, and then he moves the location away and looks for the ball away and tries to go the other way.
Matthews paying an awful lot of attention to Everett. That graphic showed you that since May, it's Alfonso at the plate in these situations. About a 50-50 chance he'll get the runner in. Matthews being extra careful with Alfonso here. Gilkey on deck. Runner at second, 1 out. And here we go again.
Sometimes that's more disconcerting to the hitter than it is the pitcher.
paying an awful lot of attention to Everett at second. Better not forget about Alfonso at the plate. He could put the Mets out in front with a hit. There goes the runner, Everett, and there's a base hit to right. Everett will score, and the Mets jump out in front 6-5.
Let's take a look at the pitch by pitch to Edgardo Alfonso. Fouls off a high fastball, and then the breaking ball misses. The 1-1 pitch right on the corner. Fastball is high, and now the fastball out away, and you can see that natural stroke of Alfonso. National League pitchers know it. Pitch him inside with 2 strikes and away up to 2 strikes. That fastball away, you're right in his barrel.
Now it's Alfonso at first, 1 out for Gilkey. He takes a strike. Carl Everett not only with a double, but I think might have diverted some of the attention of Terry Matthews by his annex back at second base.
Yep.
And Alfonso delivers with the RBI hit. Mets lead for the first time today. That's trouble down the right field line. If it's fair, but foul by a couple of feet. And a 0-2 count now on Bernard Gilkey.
Joe, we talked earlier about not only the Mets coming from behind, they've done it more than any other team in the major leagues, come from behind to win, but that they do it early. And they tied it against Kribda, and now they've gone ahead against Terry Matthews and Brian Bohannon after giving up 5 runs and having his worst outing as a starter for Bobby Valentine. Stands to be the winner. I would imagine there'll be a different pitcher out there in the bottom of the 6th inning.
6-5 New York, 1 on, 1 out, 0-2 the count on Gilkey. Gilkey came in hitting .600 over his last 4 games. Today 0 for 1 with a couple of walks and another check on the runner. This time it's Alfonso over at first. Cardiac kids, the Mets. This is one of the main reasons why Bobby Valentine will be around for years to come. They do not quit. Most come from behind wins in the major leagues. Tied for most with wins in their final at bat. Very tough in extra innings. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Gilkey. Everett the double and the run scored here in the 6th inning. Well, there is no doubt. You see T-shirts, pitchers wearing T-shirts with the mantra of Ray Miller about working fast. Throw strikes, change speeds. Oriole pitchers are anything but fast here this afternoon. Gilkey fouls it back and out of play.
Well, a lot of the reasons that the pitchers are not working fast today is that they're concerned, perhaps overly concerned, with Mets base runners. It's funny how pitchers throwing to first base, the effect of speed slows down the game. All the attention paid to guys who can run.
Ray Miller, the pitching coach on your right. Terry Matthews, who has allowed a run here in the 6th inning. His 2-2 to Gilkey. Into right center field. Anderson with the sliding try. Gets behind him. Alfonso will stop at second. And it's 2 on, 1 out.
I think Alfonso should be on third base right now, and I'll tell you why. An infielder or a base runner can move to second base and retreat to first if a guy makes a catch like this. If Brady Anderson makes that play, he's not going to be in a position to throw the ball back to first base. Alfonso almost goes to second base and now has to start up again. I think if you go all the way to second, you can make your decision, and with one out, make it to third easily.
And that's the big part of it with one out.
Right.
Now 2 on, 1 out, but they're at first and second for Husky, who is 1 for 3. And action starts for the Orioles in their bullpen again. Krivda could not get through 5. Allowed 5 runs on 8 hits. Now Matthews in trouble as Husky fouls one back and out of play. Another guy who can not only go the other way, go to right, but a guy who can hit the ball out of any ballpark going the other way. Alan Mills, the right-hander, gets ready for Davy Johnson. Keep the ball out over the plate to Husky, and he can punish it. Runners at first and second, 1 out. Mets have their first lead of the day. Ripken, the step and throw. Got him for the double play. Delayed call by Ray DeMuro, the first base umpire. Husky will argue mildly the 5-3 double play, and the Mets get only 1. A big double play to strand 2, and after 5.5, 6-5 New York.
We're going to show you the effects of cautious base running and how it cost the Mets a run. Edgardo Alfonso on at first base. Really should have been on third base with this ball hit by Bernard Gilkey. Now with first and second and 1 out, the ball hit to Ripken. He's got to play at third base, steps on the bag to double up Husky. But if Ripken makes that same play with runners on at first and third instead of first and second, the Mets have another run because Ripken could only get 1 out. And the guy out for the Mets is Brian Bohannon, and Corey Lytle is in the game. He has just done a terrific job in middle relief. A 6-1 record, his 45th appearance of the year.
Here's another guy to add to that list, Tim. That list of guys that have seemingly come out of nowhere, winning games out of the bullpen, holding leads, getting games to Franco, doing a lot of things for the Mets. Here's Hoyles, who's 2 for 2 today. A single, a home run. He'll lead it off in the 6th inning against Lytle. Bohannon ends up going 5 innings. Can get the win if his teammates can keep the lead. It would be his 4th win of the year against 3 losses. He allowed 5 runs on 7 hits. Hoyles takes the ball in the 4th inning. Brush into left field off the bat of Chris Hoyles, number 11 on the year. That started a 2-run rally, and in that 4th inning, each side picked up 2 runs. And the Mets came back in the 5th inning with 3 to tie and 1 in the 6th to take the lead. Now the Orioles bat, and Hoyles out in front 2-0. Hard hit through the hole. He's 3 for 3. Leadoff man is on for the Orioles. How about a Miller Lite game break? Back to Chip in Hollywood.
All right, Joe and Tim, thanks. Let's head out to Jacobs Field in Cleveland. That scoreboard lighting up like a pinball machine. Bases loaded. Mark Peixoto on the mound. But a fly ball out. Grabbed by Sammy Sosa. Leaves him loaded for the Tribe, and Kevin Taffany in line to win it for the Cubs at the Jake. Back to you.
All right, Chip, thank you very much. A win last night for Cleveland. They have a 3.5 game lead over Milwaukee in the AL Central. Reveille at the plate. Leadoff man is on, and a pitch just high from the right-hander Lytle. Up and in, and for the the second straight hitter. Lytle falls behind 2-0. Bottom of this Oriole lineup today, Hoyles 3 for 3. Reveille hitting 8th, has a single, a walk, 2 runs scored. And Bordick, one of the biggest swings of the day, a 2-run single in the second with the bases loaded. Over the outside corner, 2-1. Bordick and Anderson talking it over, and you can see what a gorgeous day it is here along the eastern seaboard.
See if Davy Johnson puts the runner in motion here. An ideal hit-and-run situation to count 2-1.
Not running and out of play, 2-2. Take a look at the Orioles lineup and look at all the damage done at the bottom part of that lineup card. Hoyles, Reveille, and Bordick. Anderson an RBI hit. Hammond's a 2-out RBI single. That happened in the 4th inning. The heart of the lineup hitless today. They're doing it with the top and bottom of their lineup. 2-2 on Reveille. Jammed, and Husky will take the sure out at first. So Reveille gets the tying run into scoring position with that fisted shot over to first. He couldn't get much wood on that ball at all.
No, it was a good play by Butch Husky, too, because Butch was tempted to go to second base for the force play. The ball was not hit hard enough to get Hoyles. It was not an error in judgment for Butch to take the sure out in that situation, especially when you have the lead of 1 run for the most part. The Orioles have to have a hit to tie.
And now the number 9 hitter, Bordick. Strike 1. Mentioned earlier that Hoyles has had a frustrating year injury-wise. He's been bothered by a problem in his right Achilles tendon. He was on the disabled list earlier. A bad right knee, so a base hit out of the infield. It's not automatic that the Orioles tie. A bunt, and Bordick hit by the bunt while still in the box for strike 2.
I don't think that's a good play by Mike Bordick. He got the tying run on at second base. If he can find a seam in the outfield, he can drive in the tying run. And for the most part, by trying to bunt, you're leaving it up to the next guy. And when in baseball you leave it up to the next guy, it's not a good play.
Now set up at 0-2. Base hit might tie it. 6-5 Mets, 6th inning, and down and in for ball 1. Bullpen has been a sore spot for the Mets at times this season. 1-2 from Lytle. Little flare caught by Lopez. 2 out. Good base running by Hoyles. To stay put, 2 down. It's going to be up to Brady Anderson.
I think the bullpens of these two teams are direct opposite. Last night, Greg McMichael giving up the game-tying home run to Cal Ripken. The Mets have blown 26 saves on the year. Only 11 for the Orioles. The Orioles with a major league low. Bullpen's so important to teams now because of the mindsets of the starting pitchers. All of these quality starts are only expected to go 6 innings, 7 innings.
Great stat, isn't it?
Oh, I'm telling you. Quality start. Whoever came up with that should be outlawed from making any other decision in baseball.
I don't know who came up with it, but I guarantee an agent thought up the idea.
Yeah, that's right. It's absolutely true. Quality start is when a pitcher gives up no fewer than or no more than 3 earned runs per 6 innings, which means that if he pitches 9 innings, it's going to be about a 4.5 ERA. If it were 2 runs per 6 innings, I could understand it. But whoever bought that doesn't know much about the game. And yet you continue to hear it. You read about it all the time. A quality start. It's misdefined.
Might be the same guy who came up with a survey on Major League Baseball's realignment plan. Look into that, will you? I know you got some free time coming up the rest of this Labor Day weekend.
We'll have the answers next week.
Runner at second, 2 out. Anderson takes the ball outside, 1-1. Brady has a hit, an RBI hit back in the second, a 3-run inning for the Orioles. And here's Lytle trying to get around a leadoff hit, 2/3 of the way there, but a tough out in Brady Anderson. Standing between Lytle and the end of the 6th inning. 2 balls and a strike. Sure, it wouldn't break the heart of Corey Lytle if he puts Anderson on. Of course, you don't want to put the go-ahead run on, but a right-handed hitter in Jeffrey Hammond's waiting on deck. In other words, Lytle doesn't have to groove anything for Brady Anderson behind on the count. Change up on 2-1. It's now 2-2.
The one thing, the 2 words that catchers and pitchers hate to hear in situations like this are be careful. I mean, if you're going to pitch around the guy and you want the ball just off the plate, go aggressively off the plate.
What's the old catchphrase? Don't walk him, but don't let him beat you.
Yeah, don't let him beat you, but don't give him anything good to hit. Don't walk him, but don't give him anything good to hit.
Go get him.
Safety first pitching coaches cliches.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Anderson. Oh, took strike 3, and Anderson right in the face of Larry Barnett.
And he has every reason to be. That ball looked like it was 5 inches outside.
Well, let's get another look. Barnett liked it. Wow. Inning over. Mets lead by 1. Well, like a chain reaction, when Brady Anderson heard strike 3 called, he immediately whipped around on home plate umpire Larry Barnett. And you can see why he didn't like that call.
Oh, yeah, that ball may have been low along with being way outside. Joe, you had an interesting point between innings saying a surefire way to see whether Larry Barnett knew that the ball was outside or not was the fact he didn't run Brady Anderson. That's a great point.
Brady Anderson still in the game and had a couple of looks in toward home plate as he went back out to center field to start this 7th inning with the Mets leading by 1.
Sometimes you can't pitch around the guy. An umpire won't let you.
That's what that pitch probably was from Lytle. Here, go chase this pitch. What? Strike 3? Okay.
We'll take it.
0-1 the count on Todd Pratt. Ochoa and McCray will follow here in the 7th inning. Outside and a ball and a strike. Down the right field line, getting out of play for strike 2. Todd Pratt, every time he steps into this lineup for Bobby Valentine, he does something. Catcher batting in that all-important 5th spot, 2 out of 3 with 2 RBIs. RBIs up and down this lineup with Alfonso, Husky, Ochoa. Louis Lopez, the number 8 hitter, 1 out of 3 with an RBI single in the 4th. Mets scored 2 in the 4th, 3 in the 5th, 1 in the 6th. And it's a 2-2 count on Pratt leading off the 7th. Wouldn't chase it, 3-2. Alex Ochoa will be next. The 2-out RBI hit in the 4th inning. Not only drove home the 1 run, but led to another RBI. After a hit by McCray, Lopez drove in a run. Pratt pops it up into right. trouble with it, but recovers 1 out. Well, next week on the Fox Saturday Baseball Game of the Week, the playoff race heats up when the Orioles and the Yankees hook up, plus other crucial regional matchups, and then that big one between the two coasts, Florida, L.A. L.A. trying to hang on in the NL West. The Florida Marlins trying to hang on at the top of that wild card race. Coverage begins 1/2 hour before game time with In the Zone, followed by all the action. Check your local listings. Here's ball 1 to Alex Ochoa.
South Beach against Southern California next week.
Dude.
It's all right.
1 ball, no strikes on Ochoa. 1-1. At least I brought up that radical realignment plan. Owners meetings coming up in mid-September, which is what they're shooting for. Seems awfully late to make the enormous changes that they're trying to propose and trying to get done in Major League Baseball.
No question about it. Too little time to do too much.
1 ball, 1 strike on Ochoa. Well hit into right field. Hammond's at the wall, off the wall. And Ochoa digs into second with a 1-out double. He's 2 out of 4. So a runner in scoring position again for the bottom part of the order on this shot to right by Ochoa.
And we talked earlier about Alex Ochoa. His slot is to right field. He's almost like a left-handed pull hitter up there. Jeffrey Hammond's a little tough time, our favorite phrase, finding the handle. And Ochoa has a double.
And now with McCray coming up, a visit to the mound by Hoyles. Wondering if the Orioles are stalling. They have help ready in their bullpen. Mills is up again, along with Orozco, I believe, if my prescription's right. Yep. And we'll see if Davy Johnson wants to make a change. It looks like it. A long, slow walk out to the mound. Something he has perfected in his many years as a Major League manager. Eventually, these two will meet, Davy Johnson and Terry Matthews. A handoff in honor of the start of the NFL regular season tomorrow. And the big hard-throwing right-hander, Mills, will take over as Matthews exits. He's on the hook right now for the Orioles. The Mets got the lead off Matthews last inning. The call to the bullpen here in the 7th inning with the Mets out in front by 1. We are in the 7th inning here at Camden Yards in Baltimore. And we look at our game summary. The Orioles out in front early, 3 runs in the 2nd inning. Bordick a big 2-run hit. Mets came back with 2 in the 4th. Orioles 2 in the 4th. Mets 3 in the 5th to tie, and base hit by Edgardo Alfonso in the 6th inning has New York out in front. They try to add to their lead, but they'll have to do it against a good one. Hard-throwing right-hander Alan Mills.
We heard Kevin Malone a couple of innings ago, the assistant general manager of the Orioles, talking about the injury problems that Mills has incurred this year. Only his 29th appearance. He's 2-1. He did pitch in last night's ball game.
Runner at second, 1 out. Brian McCray, a .242 hitter at the plate, and here we are again with time being granted very late as Mills was just about to bring it home.
Does not sit too well with Davy Johnson, and understandably. I think once a batter is in the batter's box like that, he should be made to swing the bat.
Pickoff play at second. Bad throw, and over to third goes Ochoa. That'll be an error on Alan Mills and put an extra run 90 feet away.
It is not often that you see a pitcher come into the game and commit an error before he throws his first pitch. That's what Alan Mills just did, throwing errantly into center field. Ball skipping by Bordick. Mike couldn't get in front of it, and Ochoa's now at third, and Baltimore will be forced to bring the infield in.
That'll help the chances of Brian McCray. A double, an error on the pitcher on the pickoff play, and leading 6-5, the Mets look for more and look for it from Brian McCray. He's driven in 6 runs as a Met, comes up empty, strike one. Inherited runners stranded 8 out of 9. He inherited a runner here at second. And his error puts Ochoa at third. Oh, an awful lot of attention paid to runners at second. Last inning by Matthews, and here by Mills. A look at the runner at third with the idea of a possible squeeze play. It's not out of the realm of possibility.
No, it's not. Bobby Valentine likes to do that. I think McCray, an authoritative enough hitter from the left side to let him swing away. Squeeze was on. How about that?
A late break by Ochoa, but McCray tried to get it down and fouled it, strike two.
Well, on a squeeze play, try to do it late, both the hitter and the runner. The runner breaks late, the hitter bunts late. He did foul it back. Nice call, partner. It's going. Thank you. Welcome.
And now with the foul on the bunt, McCray is set up 0-2. Mills needs the strikeout. Runner at third, one out. Ball one.
I think Davey Johnson bringing in Mills in this situation when both McCray and Louis Lopez are better, much better left-handed batters. Another indication of saving a Roscoe for either Hundley or Olerud a little later on. Baerga, another guy.
1-2 to McCray. Runner at third, one out. Off the corner, 2-2.
Brady Anderson in center field just said, where was that pitch?
I heard him too.
Yep, you can hear it. Brady said, you call me out on a pitch worse than that. Where was that pitch?
2 balls, 2 strikes. Runner at third, one out. 1-run lead for the Mets in the 7th. Ochoa, who came up through this Oriole farm system, has certainly made a difference today for Bobby Valentine. Davey Johnson working over those sunflower seeds with Ochoa, the runner at third, one out, and a 2-2 count on McCray. Just tied, 3-2.
This fastball just misses upstairs. Tell you, here's a good opportunity to squeeze, and a lot of managers will do it with a count 3-2, knowing the pitcher's got to throw a strike.
Three-2 to McCray. Spoiled it.
Interesting, Bobby Valentine whistling for Cookie Rojas, and Rojas looking toward Alex Ochoa. Bobby trying to get Cookie's attention. Cookie figured, well, the count's 3-2, nothing on right here.
Runner at third, one out, 3-2 to McCray. Hit deep to right. Fair or foul? It is foul. And the count remains 3-2. Just kept drifting off the bat of McCray. A good at bat here for Brian McCray. Falling behind early, 0-2. Worked it full, and now he's spoiled 2 pitches. The Let's Go Mets chant starts again here at Camden Yards. Ochoa, the runner at third, 1 out. Ball 4 puts runners at the corners. And the 4th walk handed to the Mets this afternoon, second to McCray. So Alan Mills comes in out of the bullpen, not what he had in mind when he appeared from behind that left field wall. An error, then a walk. And now Luis Lopez, who has driven in a run today, 13 on the year, and is a .280 hitter.
Understandably, Joe, some of the freshness is taken off as Ray Miller now comes out to talk to Alan Mills and Chris Hoyles. Some of the freshness taken off of interleague play the second time around. There's not as much of a novelty this time around. But here in the Let's Go Mets chant in Baltimore, refreshing to hear the Baltimore fans come back with the boos. That's the fun of it. Close enough for a lot of New York fans to come down to Baltimore and see this great city. What a remarkable job they have done with the Inner Harbor here. Unbelievable.
Building a new football stadium for the Ravens not far away from here while the Ravens play in Memorial Stadium. There's the construction. Art Modell over there in a hard hat, working on Labor Day.
Speeding things up.
We approach Labor Day. First and third, 1 out. Luis Lopez at the plate. Ochoa at third. McCray on at first. All this in an effort by the Orioles to keep it a 1-run game. McCray running. The pitch is strike and no throw by Hoyles. First stolen base in a Mets uniform for Brian McCray. That takes the double play away. The infield will come in all the way across with second and third, 1 out.
Yeah, now if the infield is in and you sneak one through there, it would be 2 Met runs and not 1. Good play by Brian McCray to go ahead and steal and take the Mets out of the double play situation.
Runners at second and third, 1 out, and an 0-1 count on Lopez. Into left center field, a ton of trouble. Surhoff can't get there. 2 runs will score, and it's a 3-run New York lead here in the 7th. And again, the bottom of the order getting it done for New York.
Both batting orders this afternoon have been bottom heavy. A ton of production coming from the last 3 of the Mets and the last 3 of the Orioles. Luis Lopez coming through, driving in his second and third run of the afternoon.
All smiles from Bobby Valentine now with a runner at second, 1 out. And Ray Ordonez at the plate. Ordonez 0 for 3 and his average at .232. Slide to center twice, slide to right, back in the 6th. Leading off, but the Mets would follow that with a double by Everett. An RBI hit by Alfonso to take the lead. They've added to it here in the 7th. And the 0-1 to Ordonez. Ball and a strike, and Mills hasn't helped. Can charge 2 runs to Matthews. 2 innings, 2 runs on 4 hits. And Orozco still loosening for the Orioles in their bullpen. third as Ordonez pops it foul, backing out of play, and Lopez will head back to second.
A lot of action around second base when the Mets are on second base. Bobby Valentine very aggressive in encouraging his runners with less than 2 outs to try to steal third base. Gilkey tried to do it earlier. The ball was put in play. Ochoa went to third on a throwing error by Mills. Now that ball fouled back with Lopez attempting to steal third.
One and two the count. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And now Hoyles and Larry Barnett get into it, the home plate umpire. It's about as much as you'll see between a catcher and home plate umpire, but they definitely just had words.
As long as you keep looking toward the playing field, catchers will be allowed to say
almost whatever they want.
Yeah, almost. You don't show them up. But Carl Everett, also a guy who tried to steal third base. The Mets have had 4 different players today think about stealing third base while on second.
Bottom of the lineup on each side. Combined 7 RBIs. Now a 3-2 count on Ordonez. We came in singing the praises of this Oriole bullpen. They have not been too sharp here today. Matthews 2 innings, 2 runs on 4 hits, a walk, no strikeouts. And now Alan Mills came in, committed an error, walked McCray. McCray stole second, and then the 2-run double hit by Louis Lopez, the number 8 hitter. And now Mills full 3-2 on Ordonez, hitting .232. And he walks it. Time now for a Miller time game break. Back to Chip Carey in Hollywood.
All right, Joe and Tim, an update on Nomar Garciaparra of the Red Sox. His 30-game hit streak on the line. A line drive, fly ball out to left, a sac fly on the day. He's 0 for 3. Second longest streak in Red Sox history ends at 30 in a 15-2 Atlanta win.
Gave it a run, didn't he?
Gave it a run, and speaking of running, he is running away with the AL Rookie of the Year award. Closest competition would be Jose Cruz Jr., you would think. Lance Dixon puts his name on that list, but Garciaparra, Jason Dixon, I should say, not Lance Dixon. He was a left-hander with the Chicago Cubs. Remember him?
Yes, I do.
I just thought I'd bring his name up.
Yep.
2 on, 1 out. And an 0-1 count on Carl Everett. 0-2.
Only thing about Jose Cruz Jr., he doesn't have enough at bats. Called up with the Seattle Mariners in early July.
Which makes it all the more impressive what he's been able to do.
Awesome.
Between Seattle and Toronto. 2 on, 1 out, 0-2 the count. Everett is gone for the second out of the inning. And that's the first strikeout of the day for Oriole pitching.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. As Mills finishes off Everett, the low fastball, and then the call the fastball away, the breaking ball out of the strike zone.
Everett talks it over on the dugout bench as Edgardo Alfonso climbs in with 2 on, 2 out. Have you ever seen more distractions at second base, or pitchers worry more about runners at second
than in this ballgame?
Matthews in the 6th inning. And Mills has already committed an error in this inning alone. He's thrown back there twice. Strike 1 to Alfonso. month of August. 20 RBIs in 28 games. Driven 1 in this afternoon. 2 out of 4 on the day. Hitting .332. To the right side again. Here comes Lopez. Hammond stumbles in right. He hurt his left leg again. A run scores, and it's a 9-5 New York lead. Already having trouble with that Achilles tendon in his left heel. And he took a divot out in right field that Davis Love III would have been proud of.
But he did replace it. This is what Joe was talking about, the left leg coming out from under him. Jeffrey throwing off the wrong foot. You could see him slip right there. And the Orioles, boy, I'll tell you, it looks like he may have re-injured that Achilles tendon.
Mets scored 3 in the 5th, 1 in the 6th, 3 here in the 7th. And here's Gilkey, 1st and 3rd, 2 out, strike 1. Bernie hitting .230. Been walked twice today. He scored twice, stolen a base. Had a single in that grabbed the lead inning in the 6th for New York. Ball and a strike. But with runners in scoring position today, each side hitting about .500. That's right there. Orioles 4 out of 9. Mets have just had more opportunities. Gribb just started out well, but fizzled, could not get through 5. Matthews, now Mills. And a check on Alfonso. Ordonez, who drew a walk in this inning, the runner at 3rd, Alfonso at 1st. And the pop-up to the right side, trying to get out of play. And it will for strike 2. And right now that "Let's Go Mets" chant getting out there really without much opposition from the Oriole fans. It's been a long middle portion of this game. And the Orioles gunning for win number 86 on the year. They're staring at loss number 47 instead right now. But plenty of time left. 1st and 3rd, 2 out. Runner goes from 1st, and Gilkey stays alive. Alfonso will return. Gilkey hitting in that 3rd spot, the DH for Bobby Valentine today. Ahead of Butch Husky, who waits on deck. And now the 1969 chant. So not only are they drowning out the Orioles fans, but they're getting creative and historical.
That's the burr under the saddle for Oriole fans.
To 3rd, Ripken the dive from his knee. They did not get Gilkey. A run scores. It's been a 4-run inning here in the 7th, and it's a 10-5 lead.
Fine play by Ripken, but because he was on one knee, he had no chance to get anything on the throw. He sidearms it, throws a little rainbow across the infield. Fine play, great hand. And there was not gold at the end of that rainbow, but Gilkey looked like he could have been out. That was very close. Check it one more time. I think he had him.
I think he had him as well.
It was bang, bang.
Bang, bang, you're out.
Yep.
So not only a hit for Gilkey, an RBI hit for Gilkey. Ordonez scores. It's a 10-5 game. Cal Ripken over at 3rd, showing flashes of Brooks Robinson with that play from his knee, and the replay showed he got him. Certainly made a difficult play very close at the very least. A strike to Husky, and it's 0-2. Ninth man to bat in the inning. This inning started with an out. Todd Pratt fly to right. And a double, a walk, a double, a walk, a strikeout, back-to-back singles. Husky is gone, and the top of the 7th inning is over. But not before the Mets get 4 to make it a 5-run game. Everybody needs a good stretch. Orioles bat down by 5. Back for the bottom of the 7th inning. Corey Lytle heads back to work. Get the crowd all revved up with a little John Denver. What a good way to start the bottom of the 7th inning as the Orioles come to bat down by 5. Life ain't nothing but a funny, funny riddle. Thank God I'm a country boy. Country boy. Jeffrey Hammond leads it off. Good to see him able to step to the plate after that play out in right, jamming that left heel. Strike 1 from Lytle.
Probably hoping he doesn't have to beat out an infield hit. You can see him stretching on that heel, and as one might imagine, he's overly sensitive about that injury.
Strike 2 from Lytle. Lytle says do-over. Started up again. A ball and 2 strikes. Off the inside corner, 2-2.
He didn't say that to his catcher who caught him throughout his life. The reason is his twin also signed with the Detroit Tigers. He was a catcher. Corey pitching to him all his life throughout high school. Signed together with the Detroit organization.
Hard hit with a backhand, Alfonso. He did try to beat one out, and Hammonds comes up limping after hitting the bag with that foot. And there is no doubt that left heel is bothering Jeffrey Hammond. Good play, by the way.
Yeah, probably hurting a little more now because he didn't get beated out. You could see him kind of dragging that left heel toward first base, clearly in pain. And see if Davy Johnson's going to leave Jeffrey in there.
We're in the 7th inning with the Orioles down by 5 and strike 1 to Geronimo Baroa, hitting .287. Ball and a strike from Lytle. Strike 2. Baroa doesn't leave much behind after he swings.
Just leave your shoes, have a healthy cut. They call them at-bat.
And he's set up here at a ball and 2 strikes.
Got such an awkward and unbalanced, unorthodox style of hitting. Looks like he's so open that often when he takes a pitch, it's almost like it's going to fall over. Like that. Rick Down, the batting instructor of the Orioles, and a good one. He was under Buck Showalter with the Yankees.
Into left center field, long run McCray. He's there, 2 out. Here comes Palmeiro. Hitting .260, but again, 31 home runs. Over that 30 mark for the 3rd straight year with the Orioles. First Oriole to do that in 3 consecutive seasons.
Here's a guy who had 16 home runs his first 2 full years in the major leagues with the Cubs and the Rangers.
And came up and caught Pratt. Ball 1 on a ball in the dirt. 12th season for Rafael Palmeiro. 2 times to the All-Star game, and without better competition around him at first base in the American League, you could say 3, 4, 5 All-Star games for him. 142 RBIs last season. to the second baseman, Lopez. The juggle, picks it up, gets him in a 1-2-3 inning for Corey Lytle. Another good play by Louis Lopez after 7. 10-5 New York. It's a great day to be in Baltimore. The Orioles, however, down by 5 as we go to the 8th inning. Tony Tarasco will take over in right, as Tim thought might happen because of the left heel problem of Jeffrey Hammonds. Todd Pratt will lead it off here in the 8th inning. He led off the 7th inning, fly to right, and the Mets went on to a 4-run frame on 4 hits and an error. First pitch to Pratt. Todd has chipped in again. Single in the second, a 2-run double in the 5th. He chased starter Rick Krivda. Like the Orioles tried to get him through 5, and it just did not happen. Breaking ball from Mills for strike 1. First full inning for Alan Mills, at least that's what he's trying to do here in the 8th inning. Easy comebacker to Allen, 1 up, 1 down. And Pratt is 2 out of 5. Don't forget that tomorrow is the season premiere of Fox NFL Sunday. It all starts with America's favorite pregame show. Then catch all the hard-hitting action. How about that good NFC Eastern Division battle between Philadelphia and the Giants? They get right after it. Cowboys and the Steelers, some good matchups on day 1 of the 1997 NFL season. Check local listings for the game and time in your area. Our coverage starts at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific.
Big sports day in the New York area tomorrow with the Yankees playing, the Giants playing at the Meadowlands, and the Mets playing down here in Baltimore. He's ready. Not to catch a ball, but he's ready.
Alex Ochoa waits for the 1-1 pitch. Pops it up. Alex has had a big day, 2 out of 4, and now 2 out of 5. So the first 2 are gone here in the 8th inning, and the batter will be Brian McCray. The end of today's game, Tim and I will be selecting the Chevy Truck Player of the Game. Possibilities: Hoyles, 3 for 3. Alfonso, 3 for 5. 2 more RBIs. Lopez, big afternoon, hitting in that 8th spot. 2 out, nobody on for McCray. He's 1 for 2 with a single, a pair of walks, a stolen base, and a run scored. Hitting .242. Strike 1.
Mets are glad that squeeze bunt didn't work. And that squeeze bunt worked in the 7th inning. The Mets end up with 1 run and not 4.
McCray eventually walked, stole second. Both McCray and Ochoa scored on the 2-run double by Lopez. A walk to Ordonez, then RBI hits by Alfonso and Gilkey. Gilkey's an infield hit that Ripken made a terrific play on, but the Orioles did not get the call. 3 balls and a strike on McCray. Hard hit right through Palmeiro. Down the right field line, and McCray thinking double. Tarasco gets it back in. It's a 2-out double. A second hit, 4th time on base for McCray today.
That ball really scorched under the glove of Rafael Palmeiro. Little Olay right there. Rafi didn't want any part of it, and I can kind of understand that. That ball was hit hard.
Now with 2 out, here's Lopez. 2-out RBI hit in the 4th inning. At the time made it a 1-run game, then the 2-run double last inning. Here the ground out, the put out 3-1. That music means it's time to stop talking. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning. 10-5 New York.
Saturday Baseball Game of the Week, brought to you by Miller Genuine Draft, who reminds you it's time for better beer breath. By Gap Jeans. By Red Lobster, prepared so fresh you can taste it. And by Visa, it's everywhere you want to be.
Back in Baltimore as we get into the bottom of the 8th inning. They're playing a highlight here on the scoreboard as we take a look at Cal Ripken and his day defensively, working over the hot corner, making plays hit right at him. Play to his left, good play to his right. The Orioles didn't get the call on a play that, well, it looked like Gilkey was out on this play, but they did not get the call. And Ripken leads it off here in the 8th inning. This is game number 2,448. Consecutively played by Cal Ripken. 1-0 pitch is low, 2-0. You just got a chance to see that highlight played on the scoreboard here from Yankee Stadium, a Montreal home run. I believe it was Darren Fletcher. Yep. And it looked like a fan came down and reached over, and Paul O'Neill looked up, said something to the fan, and this time the Yankees are hurt by a little interference, and those in Baltimore saying, there, see? That's how it feels. Leadoff walk to Ripken.
Ball hitting off the end of Paul O'Neill's glove and bouncing into the stands. And the Yankees trailing Montreal 3-0 in the top of the second. But keep in mind, the Yankees are facing the guy with the lowest earned run average in baseball, Pedro Martinez. So 3 runs, a lot of runs to overcome with him pitching.
Strike one, delivered to Surhoff after the leadoff walk issued by Lytle. Start talking about ERAs and the ERA by Pedro Martinez. Every time you talk about ERA, it makes me think of a guy that you caught for a long time, Bob Gibson, and that 1.12 ERA. It's got to be one of those records that will stand and might stand forever.
Maybe. During 195 inning stretch that year, Gibson gave up 1 earned run and 1 unearned run. That's over 10.5 games.
Surhoff fouls away strike 2, and it was the next year that they lowered the pitching.
Yeah, right. There's been some talk over the last couple of years about raising the mounds in the major leagues to balance things out and give the pitchers at least some of the edge that they held 28 years ago. So far, it's only talk.
Ripken at first with nobody out. Surhoff grounds it foul.
You have to really wonder why Butch Husky's holding Cal Ripken Jr. on at first base. The Mets with a 5-run lead. And the Mets have made some mistakes this year, and now I think Husky's going to play behind him. But the Mets have made mistakes in holding runners on. They've made numerous mistakes in late innings. Now Husky's going to be playing behind him, but that last ground ball could have been a fair ball.
Surhoff strikes out as Lytle gets his second of the afternoon as he works in his 3rd inning of relief help behind Brian Bohannon. Tonight, cops face their toughest call when they race to save a baby's life. Watch a heroic primetime Cops, followed by America's Most Wanted. America Fights Back. It all starts tonight at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, here on Fox. 1 on, 1 out for Hoyles. He's had a perfect day at the plate, pair of singles and a home run. Out in front is Hoyles on strike 1.
Behind catchers have delivered today, haven't they? Hoyles 3 for 3, a home run. Todd Pratt 2 for 3, a double, 2 RBIs to tie the game back in the 5th inning.
Runner at first, 1 out, 0-1 the count on Hoyles. Rolling away. We talked earlier about that R&R plan, the old radical realignment plan, an article in the paper today about the DH situation and where that's headed. Story about a lot of the owners wanting to get rid of the designated hitter. Most in the National League not all, and some in the American League. As Hoyles grounds to third foul, it'll stay. Now go to a ball and 2 strikes.
And the owners would sweeten the pot if the players would grandfather the designated hitter rule out, or at least that's what the article said today, over the next 3 or 4 years. American League, of course, wants the designated hitter. The National League does not want it. And to sweeten the pot a little bit, the owners have suggested that they could expand the rosters to 26 or 27 players from 25, thereby creating new jobs as opposed to maintaining the jobs that are held by designated hitters.
But there's a hidden catch in that.
What is that?
A ball and 2 strikes as Hoyles grounds foul. I think the Players Association, the Players Union will say, well, that's great, but he had a 26th spot. He's going to be a bottom-end guy.
Right. Minimum salary
guy as opposed to a designated hitter who's making multi-million-dollar contracts.
Designated hitters on average are making twice the average. So whereas the DHs are making on average about $2.8 million, regular players, I think the average is about $1.4 million. Nasty curveball from Corey Lytle. Woo.
And Hoyles is gone. Back-to-back strikeouts. Let's go for a Miller Lite game break. Back to Hollywood. Here's Chip Carey.
Well, Joe and Tim, the fans in Baltimore are going to enjoy this highlight. Remember last October when Jeffrey Mayer stole an out from the Orioles in the playoffs in their series against the Yankees? Well, today, things got evened up in New York. Paul O'Neill trying to catch a Darren Fletcher drive. The fans reach over, steal the chance to make the grab away from him. It's ruled a 3-run homer. David Wells upset. Richie Garcia, the third base umpire in New York. And how about this? The fans were ejected. What a surprise. Back to you in Baltimore.
And now we have the argument from Davey Johnson after that pitch. The breaking ball from Lytle struck out Hoyles. You knew it was only a matter of time. I'll say this for Larry Barnett. He's had a lot of guys get in his face today, and he has not ejected one of them.
And this is the breaking ball that is called the third strike on Chris Hoyles at a much closer pitch than the disputed call against Brady Anderson. The one to Brady clearly outside.
Now Reveille into right center field. Brian McCray back to get it on the run. Inning over. A leadoff walk. Lytle, who has been terrific, gets around it, and we head into the 9th inning. Good work by McCray. 9th inning in Baltimore. 10-5 Mets. Ready for the 9th inning. The Orioles at one point led 3-0, then 5-2, but it's been all New York since. 3 in the 5th, 1 in the 6th, 4 in the 7th, and they lead 10-5 here in the 9th. Ordonez, the number 9 hitter, will be followed by Everett and Alfonso. Strike 1 from Alan Mills. .232 hitter as Ordonez walked and scored his last time up.
Wow.
Almost took that ball right off the dirt, right off the plate. And a little check swing, easy grounder to Rifkin for the first out. Give you a look at our Red Lobster catch of the day. Louis Lopez, who's been doing it at the plate, robbing B.J. Surhoff back in the 3rd inning. On the hop to his right, got him by plenty, and the defense for New York, no errors today. For Baltimore, 1 error committed by Mills, who's on the mound. Here's a drive into right, played off the wall by Tarasco, and it's a long single hit by Everett.
Nice play by Tony Tarasco. By the way, Tarasco was the right fielder, as everybody in Baltimore, everybody in New York knows. When Jeffrey Mayer, the young 12-year-old, made that play last year, Tony, a fine play there to hold Everett to a single.
So the batter will be Edgardo Alfonso. By the way, as we mentioned, the Orioles today passed the 3 million mark in attendance. 48,068 the paid attendance for today's game, with 1 to go on this homestand for the Orioles tomorrow, tying the franchise record set in 1993 for fewest dates needed to pass 3 million. 66 home dates. And the Orioles have rewarded their fans at home, coming in with a home record of 41-24. They have the Major League's best road record at 44-22. Ball and a strike from Alan Mills to Edgardo Alfonzo.
Next week, the Baltimore Orioles going to Yankee Stadium for 4 games, Thursday through Sunday. And then the following week, the Yankees come here to Camden Yards.
Another base hit to right by Alfonzo. That is 4 straight hits in 4 at-bats for Alfonzo, starting in the 5th. And all have been to right.
All his last 3 hits have been to right field. Edgardo acknowledging that this is a nasty slider. And when you work Alfonzo away without first impressing him inside, you feed right into his wheelhouse.
Everett took the turn, went to third. It's runners at the corners, 1 out for Gilkey. Alan Mills right back into trouble. Ball 1.
Point I was trying to make, Joe, you and I will be back here in a couple of weeks for that Yankee Oriole game on Saturday, 2 weeks from today. And you wonder what kind of activity the play by Jeffrey Mayer is going to spawn in the left field stands here in Baltimore, where a fan could easily reach over and upset a play. Certainly not with an Oriole outfielder, but possibly with a Yankee player.
2-1 now on Gilkey.
Here it was again, Derek Jeter, the batter last year, the much disputed play. Tony Tarasco leaping up, and Jeffrey Mayer made the play. I think the replay clearly showing that ball would hit the top of the wall. The Orioles could have come back here to Camden Yards up 2-0.
Gilkey hits it into deep left field. Surhoff at the wall will wave goodbye. And it's 13-5 New York. Home run number 13 for Bernard Gilkey, and it's a 4 RBI day for Bernard, giving him 61.
The Mets have only won 1 game this week. They beat the Giants 15-6 on Wednesday, and now ahead of the Orioles 13-5. Bernard knew it. About 3 rows back in left field.
Now Husky. Base is empty, 1 down. Strike 1 to Butch, who is 1 out of 4. Make it 5. 1 for 5. Gilkey now 3 out of 4 with a pair of walks.
This might be the only day in the history of the 2 franchises, Mets and Yankees, that you hear a "Let's Go Mets" chant at Yankee Stadium. Maybe some Yankee fans cheering the Mets on today because of the Yankees' arch rivals, Baltimore Orioles. Mets beating them soundly now.
7.5 game lead, however, for the Orioles in the East. This is into right center. Anderson, the long run. Nice play. 2 out. Husky will end the day 1 for 6. Well, we've been revisiting the 1969 World Series. That's Davy Johnson at the plate in the Oriole uniform, making the final out. And the New York Mets went on to win that series 4-1. Jerry Koosman getting the win in that Game 5, the clincher. 2 out, bases empty. Pratt into right field. Tarasco back to get it. The top of the 9th inning is history, but not before back-to-back singles by Everett and Alfonzo, and then this swing by Bernard Gilkey. 13 New York. Interleague play. Bottom of the 9th inning, and a coast from here on out for the Mets, leading 13-5. Davey Johnson has his bullpen fail him for one of the very few times this season. Bordick leads it off. Takes a ball from Lytle, who, by the way, would be credited with a save if he were to get through this inning. It would be his second. Bohannon in line for the win. Terry Matthews in line for the loss for the Orioles. And of course, Lytle has to finish this 9th inning. Any help from the bullpen, and there would be no save situation. Bordick 1 out of 3 today. He pitched in with a 2-run single with the bases loaded early. Lopez to his left. There isn't much getting by Louis. And the first out here in the 9th inning. Bordick grounds out 4-3. Miller Lite game break. Back to Chip in Hollywood.
Let's head back to Yankee Stadium. The Expos are at it again. Top of the 3rd inning. Rondell White right down the line. He cranks the 2-run home run, and Montreal all over the Yankees. It's 5-0. The Mets trying to help them out. The Yankees got to help themselves, however. Back to you, Joe Buck.
Thank you, Chip. David Wells on the mound today for the Yankees, the former Oriole. Ball 1 to Brady Anderson. Anderson 1 out of 4 this afternoon with an RBI single back in the 2nd. That is well hit to right. At the track, at the wall, goodbye. Number 16 for Brady. That makes it a 13-6 New York lead here in the 9th inning as Anderson gets number 16, coming off that 50 home run season a year ago. And with the bases empty, 1 down, here comes Tony Tarasco. First at bat of the day in place of Jeffrey Hammonds, who aggravated that left heel. Not crazy to think Lytle would finish off this game, a guy who's made a handful of starts this year for the Mets.
Right.
Lopez backs up, 2 out. And with 2 out, nobody on. Mind you that John Filippelli is today's producer with Bill Webb directing. Great work as usual. Pre-game coordinating producer Scotty Ackerson. Pre-game produced by Gary Lang and directed by Bob Levy. Senior producer of Fox Sports is Bill Brown. Executive producers David Hill and Ed Gorin. Special thanks to Lance Garrett, Steve Horn, Barry Landis, and the local boy done good, Derek Manning. 2 out, nobody on. 2-0 the count. Ow. Fouled off the foot or ankle of Baroa. 2-1. to 6 here in the 9th inning. And the Orioles down to their final strike. Rubber game tomorrow, it looks like. Rick Reed, 10-8, will take on Jimmy Key. Edgardo Alfonso, our Chevy truck player of the game, as Baroa shoots one to left center. Caught by Everett to end the day. Lytle gets the save as Everett saves him in left center field. Great running grab by Carl Everett. He took a double away from Baroa, and a nice way for the Mets to end this one. Again, our Chevy truck player of the game, Edgardo Alfonso. He had a big afternoon, including 4 straight hits from the 5th inning through the 9th.
As the Mets come from behind for the 40th time this year.
Brian Bohannon gets the win. Matthews the loss, and the save for Lytle. A 3-hour, 41-minute game in Baltimore. Well, we turn our attention on Fox tomorrow to the NFL. It's week number 1. An NFC East matchup. The Eagles and Giants, a good one. Cowboys and Steelers, plus other regional action. Coverage begins at 12 Eastern and 9 a.m. Pacific. Then next Saturday, a good one at Yankee Stadium. The Orioles at the Yankees, or the Astros, Giants, Marlins, Dodgers. Our coverage begins within the zone 1/2 hour before game time. Check your local listings. Interleague play came back to Fox, and today it was all New York. After falling behind early, they come away with a 13-6 victory. For Tim McCarver, I'm Joe Buck saying so long from Baltimore. 13-6 New York. You've been watching Fox Sports coverage of Major League Baseball.